Good evening, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to episode 34 of the Matt and Matt No Scale Trains podcast. I am one of your hosts, Matt Rochford, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts,
Matt Suzuha
and Johnny Nugent.
Matt and Johnny, how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great, man. This is going to be our best one, buddy. I say it a lot, but I'm excited. I really am.
Hands down, I am giddy. I'm excited. This is going to be one for the books. This is going to be amazing. I'm so hyped.
I agree. I'm really excited for tonight's episode. Let's go through a couple of our normal kind of maintenance items, though, first. As always, you can find the Matt and Matt podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, YouTube, and also Amazon Music. So I also wanted to mention, again, our Discord server, which now has over 45 members, and it's growing every day. Now, this is a public Discord that anyone can join, but you do have to acknowledge that you read the rules, since we are a community server, and that's a little different from a private server on Discord. So we have a great group of moderators who always make sure that folks are treated with respect and keep our community safe. Now, I will place a link to the Discord in the show notes, and all you need to do is just click on it. If you might have to create a Discord account. If you do, you'll be added into the server. You can introduce yourself and then start chatting away. So we hope to see you in there. If you have any questions about this, just please feel free to reach out to any of our social links and let us know. So another item, of course, is our Matt and Matt merchandise. Again, if you want a coffee mug, a shirt, sweatshirt, anything with our logo on it, obviously I'll put a link in the description for you. And if you use our merch code, which is MAMPOD, you will get 10% off. Now, let's get started on tonight's episode. We are going to be reviewing the Lionel 2022 Big Book Catalog. However, we won't be alone on this adventure tonight. So we have Mr. Ryan Kunkle from Lionel, who will be guiding us through this catalog. Now, Ryan, I always enjoyed your catalog reviews with Derek on the Notch 6 podcast. And of course, I enjoy your Workbench Wednesday videos on YouTube. So thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you very much for having me, everybody. And it's really a pleasure to be here. And, I enjoyed doing these with Derek some time ago. I'm glad to actually be back doing them again. Thank you for the plug for Workbench Wednesdays on YouTube and Facebook. That saves me a shameless plug later on. So appreciate that. And very much looking forward to it. This will be an early run through for me, and I'm anxious to see some of the first feedback from fans and everybody out there of how we did with our next catalog.
Excellent. Now, we also have another guest, kind of our surprise guest, and that's none other than our friend and returning guest, Eric Siegel from the Eric's Trains YouTube channel. Eric, how are you doing tonight, sir?
How's it going? Doing good. Really glad to be back. Had a lot of fun last time, and just like you guys, I'm really super stoked about tonight's show, where we've got the new 2022 catalog to look at and talk about. So this should be a lot of fun. It's always a sort of an exciting time when a new Lionel catalog drops. So yeah, really excited to get going with it.
Awesome. So we each had the catalog in front of us, and I will try to announce the page numbers as we move through the book for those listening at home. With your own copy of the catalog. Now, Ryan, perhaps you can tell us a bit about each product, why you decided to add it to the catalog, and then we can go around the room with questions.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, then let's get to it, folks. Let's go ahead and start on page 4, which is probably, at least for me, one of the most exciting items in the catalog.
Well, no doubt. This is big news with the announcement of the new Lionel Base 3 and Cab 3 app. This is really the next generation in the evolution of Lionel Command Control. And while it may not seem like a major jump right now, I think down the road we'll see this as the equivalent of moving from TMCC up to Legacy. The Base 3 has a lot of things going for it. And the Cab 3 app also has a lot of advantages over either the apps we've done before, our Lion Chief app or the iCab. It combines the best of those and expands upon it. And the Base 3 gives us a platform with that really to build off of and move forward for several decades to come now. As you all know, Legacy and TMCC have been around for a long time. They were early pioneers in model train command control. And that technology, we've really taken that about as far as we can push it. But we have other things that we'd like to do and more features we'd like to add. And so it's time to start the design and the phase and moving into that next stage of command control. And that's what Base 3 gives us. But unlike a lot of companies, when the new cell phones come in, the old cell phones last for a little while and then they're gone, right? Same with computers and so forth. We've taken every effort possible to make sure that, as we've done before, we don't leave your trains behind. So you can make this transition as quickly or slowly as you like, but the investment that you've already made, whether it's in locomotives, whether it's in a Cab 2 or a Cab 1L or a Lion Chief set, none of that is wasted. And this will be the first time now we'll be able to combine all of our current worlds, both the Legacy Command world and then also our Lion Chief world, be it the current Bluetooth model or even the previous RF models, into one platform and have one throttle that can unite them all, so to speak.
This is I'll step in first and just say this is super exciting for me. The one thing you had me at was the and I believe it's noted on the previous page, but it's the 4-digit addressing, which, look, I don't have more than 99 engines, but I do have a lot of engines that, have the same road numbers and stuff like that. And just to be able to easily identify everything on my layout as to where it exists, in my, in the iCab or even in just, one of my cab controllers is fantastic. Like, I am very, very excited about this. I am a computer kind of technology guy by trade. So stuff like this is like right up my alley anyway, but I am really looking forward to this. What about you guys?
I like it. I like it a lot. And actually, I have a question right off the bat, Ryan. Mm-hmm. Is that, so it says here it's compatible with everything, and you can still use the Legacy Cab 2 remote. 2 questions on that. The first one is, if I have the 993, the expansion Legacy set, will that still work with this?
Yes, it will.
Okay. And being it's with the Cab 2, and I can, another thing with like the Lion Chief and the Lion Chief Plus, can I run those engines with this Base 3 with the Legacy remote?
Yes, you can.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome.
Yes. So basically inside the little Hellgate Bridge there, you've got a whole variety, a whole series of different radios. So you've got a Bluetooth connection, you've got an RF connection, you've got a Legacy TMCC radio in there. And so no matter what source is talking to the base, it can then talk back out to whichever train you want to talk with. To work the Lion Chief engines, whether it's an older RF one or a Bluetooth one with your command systems, there are 3 toggle switches there on the front, and you use those to help set up the address. More than we would get into here, obviously, tonight on this, but it allows you to pair up your Legacy remote with a Bluetooth or RF locomotive very easily. You can also still use a universal remote or the Lion Chief app and run those trains completely independent of the Base 3. So if you're already used to that, or if you're a newcomer in the hobby and you start off that way, you can continue to use all the things you're familiar with and then move up to the Base 3 when you want to start adding in higher end locomotives and new features. And the Base 3 can support up to 10 controllers simultaneously. So not only can you be running trains, but 9 of your friends can come over and run trains with you too, and all be talking through the Base 3 and out to your layout. And that can be any combination of a Cab 2, a Cab 1L, an app on a phone. So you have lots of options. For those who like to use an app on their phone, which is becoming more and more of the hobby, that's an easy way to do it. But we know there are a lot of people who still just like the feel of a tactile remote, and you can still use the remotes you have. Or going forward, we'll continue to produce the Cab 1L, and that will join in as well without any issues. All you have to do, the best part of this, in my opinion, as someone who's not a computer guy, not a tech guy, the hookup for this is just as easy as it has been since the TMCC base one. It's a single wire connection from the U-post, from the common post on this base to your outside rail or U-post on your transformer. So if you already have, let's say, a base 2 hooked up, just undo that one wire, attach it to your base 3, plug it in, and you're done. That's the setup for this new system to add it into your layout.
And one more real quick. On the back, it says LCS control. I have the separate sale Wi-Fi box. Do I still need that with this, or is that included with this?
That's built into here as well. So it's one thing you won't need to carry over into the new layout. You can plug right into any of the 3 ports here on the back of this. You don't have to continue to daisy chain them either. You have more options here on the back with 3 LCS ports.
Sweet.
Yeah, I got to say, this is pretty sweet. I'm pretty stoked about it. I love the design, the Hellgate Bridge design. I think that's great. I do have, my question, I guess, is I'm in the minority of people where I do have more than 99 engines, and so what I'm curious about is with the 4-digit addressing, is that something that's going to be sort of rolled out into future not just Vision Line, but future locomotives? Or, I guess what I'm saying is, if I've got more than 99 locomotives now, can they be fit into the base 3 more easily than with the current systems?
So right now you're still limited with the TMCC legacy engines to those 99 addresses because it's a different bit of hardware in the locomotive as well as in the Cab 3 or base 3.
Okay, that's what I figured.
That will become a standard as we move forward. We're going to introduce it, and obviously this year's Vision locomotive is the first out. But we'll continue to roll that into locomotives down the road as well. It won't become mainstay probably for another year or two, and we'll continue to make locomotives with legacy remotes, with legacy boards, and for the foreseeable future. So none of that is going away anytime soon. But this is definitely the next wave of the future to get you that 4-digit addressing. And I'm glad, Matt, that you mentioned it. It's a great feature if you are like Eric and you have a great collection to be able to sort things out. But even if you don't, just the convenience of being able to give every locomotive hopefully a unique number, or if you go to a club and you've got multiple people running together, it can really come in handy quickly. You never have to remember, did I use the last 2 digits of that number or the first 2 digits, or, you just put the 4 in and go. So I think it seems like a small change, but once you get used to it, it'll be very welcomed. And while it's one of the things we're rolling out now, I want to emphasize that with the Cab 3 especially, we will have even more options that we're still developing and still constantly working on. This is not the end all of this new phase by any stretch of the imagination. This is just sort of the beginning of where we're going to be able to roll out new things that we just simply couldn't do with the existing Cab 2.
That's great. Yeah, this is the first building block, right, of a brand new system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For sure. And I'm super excited. It's a brand new, almost renaissance in command control for the age of Lionel. So this is very exciting to see. I like the symbolism. I don't know if intentional or not with using the Hellgate Bridge, being a lot of the people who listen to the podcast are long-term fans of Eric. And something we've always wanted in the hobby for Lionel was a bridge between all the different control systems, and having the Hellgate Bridge being the symbol here, you can't get more spot on than that. That's absolutely amazing.
That's really cool to hear you say that, because you just nailed it. And this was most of the design behind this, and especially the case and the bridge and all that. That was Dave Olson's brainchild, and a big shout out to Dave and the work that he's put into this project. I think he's a little jealous that I get to do some of the first rollouts on it because it's not fair. But he had that in mind when he did this, and he really did a cool job of working in those themes. And we wanted something that wasn't just a little black box you'd want to bury under your layout either. We wanted it to have some style. We kept some of the cues from the base 2 with the light up letters and the glow lights and so forth. So we did some things, to sort of carry that tradition. But the Hellgate was definitely a part of that. And it really truly is the bridge between all of our previous technologies and the future of where we're going.
That's awesome. Yeah, no. I remember back in the day when Lionel released their movie, the featured film, and all the advanced futuristic features of Lionel with the design, it definitely could realistically fit in that universe, and that's kind of surreal to see come into real life. But also, I like reading through the features list, and there's quite a lot more than we could probably get into tonight. But I also like how you guys included memory module support for transferring your database of engines from your old legacy base to the new Cab 3. That is that's going to be something really important and something that I really appreciate that you guys are looking out for the veteran model railroader to bring over to the new system as well.
Oh, absolutely. We want to try and make the transition as seamless and smooth as possible for everybody.
Sweet.
And Dave, if you're listening, thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you.
I'm sure we can probably get Dave on a future podcast, and you could probably spend an hour just talking about Base 3 and Cab 3, and you'll be hearing a lot about this from us throughout the year because we know it's new. We know that sometimes change is scary, and there will be a ton of questions on this. So we plan on doing a lot of marketing and promotion and keeping everybody up to date as we roll along with this, so that you have all of your questions answered and can add this to your layout with confidence.
Yeah, we would love to have Dave on. So I'll make that point right now.
Is there a rollout of when this is going to show up?
We are targeting by the end of this calendar year for delivery.
Oh, sweet!
Wow,
awesome!
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. This has been in development now for about 3 to 5 years in various bits and pieces behind the scenes. Nothing happens as fast as you'd think it would, and it also never happens as fast as we'd like it to. So there have been definitely some roadblocks along the way, and I'm sure will be a few more as we go through the last year. As everyone knows, has been a very challenging one for anybody who puts anything electronic in their products. And so we expect some of those woes to continue into 2022, which is why giving a firm date on that right now would be a little bit premature on my part because I can't predict the future that well. But we are through all the major hurdles that need to be addressed. So it's now getting into the final stages of beta testing, design, and approvals, and then making sure there are no bugs as these roll out. But I think one advantage of this too is you'll see it will be very easy to update as we go along because, as I said, this is the beginning. So we know that there will be updates, whether it's to the cab or to the base, and updating through the connections in this will be very seamless for everybody. So it won't be any more difficult than updating to the latest version of software on an app or on your computer at home.
Excellent. Well, does anyone have any other questions or anything on the next page about the apps that are shown? If not, we can go ahead and just jump over to page 14 for our looks like our flagship product for the catalog.
All right. So we teased the Vision Class A back in October. So not a big surprise, but this was the first time people are getting a chance to see the different variations and some of the details. If you're looking at this digitally, it's nice because you can blow things up and see things closer. We also embed some videos in our digital catalogs that you can pop up and see some handsome guy talking about the Vision Class A and all of its features and its history and so forth. So please, by all means, do that. But we've got multiple detail variations here on this locomotive to capture the Class A's appearances from literally the prototype up through the 1218 and her excursion years. And some of them are pretty subtle. Some of them are a little more massive, like the type of tenders being used. But there are at least half a dozen or more different variations in each of the variations that we've done to make them stand out. And as we already talked to a little bit with the Cab 3 and Base 3, this will have the ability now to be 4-digit addressed if you're using the Cab 3 with the Base 3 system. So a big advantage for those who have larger layouts, and something I think people will truly enjoy. We've talked a lot about the features of this in advance, so even though it's our flagship project, and I'm happy to spend as much time on her as you'd like, I don't want to belabor the point when we've got such a long catalog ahead of us, but you do have so many great features in here, including the various smoke units, including, of course, whistle steam, but also the safety valve steam, which I think is actually one of the neater ones we've done. All the different lighting effects, the kinematic drawbar, and the force coupler on the drawbar, which I also think is really cool. If you're using your legacy system and you're used to using that train brake to increase the labor and the chuff and the that deepens that exhaust, and then you hear the smoke increase, and then to lighten it off as you're coming down grade and get that coasting effect. That force coupler really does all that automatically for you, so you don't have to think about it. Your engine is actually working and responding to the train behind it, and it's just such a neat thing that is so unique to Lionel and Legacy to be able to have that kind of realism in your train. And then, as I mentioned, just so many different detail variations, which for the prototype modelers is something really fun, and makes us a step above any of the Class A's we've done before. This is all new tooling from the ground up. The only tool that we're getting any reuse out of is some of the tenders and some of the variations, which are similar to the Y3 tenders. So we had some carryover there, but otherwise, this is an all new beast, so that we could get all the correct features and correct details in here to make it a Vision Line worthy model for everybody.
Yeah, this thing is incredible looking, and I did get a chance to make it to York, and I did actually was able to see your demo that you had that you guys had up in your area, mm-hmm. and seeing it in the catalog with all the different road names. This thing is pretty cool. Now, I am not an East Coast guy, so definitely not my cup of tea. But I will let the other gentlemen here give their comments.
I think this thing looks great. I'm really glad there's a pilot version. I'm kind of a sucker for pilot versions, so I'll probably end up getting 2 versions of this just to get that the pilot. So, but I think it looks great, and I did see some video of it from York, and it looked really nice. So yeah, super excited about it.
These are really nice. I'm really excited to see what these are all about. I love the different tenders, especially on like the prototype with the Y3 with the doghouse. I really like that a lot. 2 questions. First of all, on the prototype, there's no lettering on the tender. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is. They just had a small Norfolk and Western underneath the road number on the cab.
Cool. And then for some of these, specifically number 1238, it says that it has roller bearing rods, and some of the other ones have the regular standard rods. That is going to be how it's going to be on the final model, correct?
Yes, that's how it'll be on the final model. It's a small detail variation difference in the way those rods look. The mechanical function of the rods from a model standpoint will be the same, but it represents the different types on the prototypes. Are
I'm really excited for these. These are really nice. I don't have the curves, unfortunately, but beautiful engine.
Yeah, these are amazing. And the sheer amount of detail variety in between these models is really something that needs to be applauded here. Like something that I've never seen. Tenders are a big one. The different types of tenders is a first for O-Scale, I think. But the fact you guys went out of it a way to even change the pilots on the front of the locomotives, I don't think I've ever seen that done on O-Scale. So that's That's amazing. The Class A is a beautiful model. Even the demo version you guys had at York, which I also saw with Matt R over there, I was blown away. We went with a group of friends out there to York, and the moment that word was let out that you guys were doing the Class A, it was to a resounding applause. Like, everyone's hyped, and I have no doubts that everybody else is hyped for this engine as well.
Yeah, it's an engine that's been out of the market for far too long, and it's time to get it back out there.
For sure.
Yeah, I love all the different versions of this. It's really, and like he was saying, with the different pilots, you don't see that a lot in O scale or in the tender variations. So it's really nice to see stuff getting that specific in O scale.
Well, thank you, everybody. The design for this is pretty close to finalized. Tooling will be starting very shortly on it. I always try and hold back a little bit in case people catch some things after the catalog's release that we missed. Because there's nothing like having 2,000 eyes on your project to help catch the things. It's great proofreading, and I mean that honestly. I don't want that to sound sarcastic. So we'll be starting the tooling one here fairly shortly, and again, we do hope to deliver these to everybody by the end of the year.
Awesome. That is exciting. Very exciting.
Hands down.
I like
for sure.
the passenger one, the J style scheme. That one's really cool too.
Yeah, we wanted to do something. The fantasy schemes have been huge for us. To my knowledge and my understanding of the Norfolk and Western, they were not a showy railroad. So doing something all red or gold or something like that's just not N&W. So we went with something a little more austere, a little more refined, and borrowed the tender striping from the Class J, of course. And then carried it forward across the cab, very similar to what Southern Pacific did with some of the semi-streamlined daylight engines. And I think it turned out really nice.
I'm a huge fan of the fantasy paint schemes. I know a lot of people, some people are not, but I, for one, really like them because they really give you so many different options. And, it kind of hit home a few years ago. My girlfriend went down into my layout room and was looking at all the steam engines, and she didn't know anything about trains. And she looked at all the steam engines and said, they all look exactly the same. They all look black, and I was like, what do you mean? They're not all the same. You're crazy. But then it kind of hit me that, to someone who's not in the hobby, they do kind of all look the same. And so for me, I kind of like the fantasy paint schemes because they allow you to get some stuff that is a little more eye catching. And, when I have an open house for my layout once a year, and it's nice to run those on the layout because people who come to see the layout, who may not be experts in what the Norfolk and Western ran, they'll see the nice stripe or something and say, hey, that looks really pretty. And so that's why I like them. I've always been a big fan of them.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and if nobody else has anything else, let's continue and take a look at these Vision horse cars.
Yeah, so this is a neat product that builds on some of the code we've developed previously in the Vision baggage car. And a lot of people probably are less aware of the racehorse traffic on railroads and their historic role in that than some other commodities carried. But at one point, this was actually a pretty big business on the railroads. And many roads owned horse cars of various designs. So we borrowed some of the common features from horse cars. We didn't really duplicate any single roads cars specifically, but borrowed common features and created a Vision-rich feature car that has a lot of great sound. So it's similar to the Vision reefers and stock cars in which you have different loading and unloading sequences. You have sounds from the cars in motion, sounds from the cars is stopped. And these are on a scale 72-foot car, so they're only 18 inches long. Which still gives them a good prototypical length, but also makes them a little more friendly for folks with the tighter curves. They'll do an 054 curve, and unlike the 21-inch passenger cars, they look a little bit more reasonable doing so. So I think these are going to be a lot of fun. I'm not sure who we're going to get to record to do the racehorse sounds yet, but we'll have some fun with that for sure, like we did on the Vision baggage car, some of the great sequences that we packed into that. And a variety of road names here to meet with pretty much anyone's expectations, no matter what area you're modeling. But it's also worth noting that the horses were treated pretty well. So if the horse was going cross country, they didn't change trains mid-route. So it was very common to see Pennsylvania horse cars out in California Santa Fe cars in Kentucky. It didn't really matter. They interchanged frequently, and they would be added into whichever passenger train schedule fit the bill. So whatever train you're running and whichever car you like, it's a neat way to add some color and spice and variety to your passenger trains on your layout.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of all of your sound cars, so for lack of better terms. But that Santa Fe one for me is, as a Santa Fe guy, that's very catching for me, and I will be getting the Santa Fe one for sure. Like I said, like all of these sound, cars just add so much like value. I hate to call it play value because look, we're all like adults, but there's just something about like playing sounds and just kind of giving maybe a little bit more realism to whatever particular train you're having going around the layout, and it's just a really cool effect. And I have to say, like, all of these colors are just that Louisville and Nashville. Holy cow, that blue is like spectacular. And these are definitely going to be on my list.
I think it's a great idea. I didn't even know there were horse cars like this, so this is something new to me. But I think it's great. And like you said, these sound cars are one of my favorite things because they just add so much to a train. It used to be back in the day, you'd have your engine up front, and then the rest of the train was pretty much just silence or maybe a little bit of clickety clack on the rails. But now you space these out in your train and you've got a whole train of sound, and it just really adds so much fun to it. And especially when you have visitors see them, it just adds so much more realism and excitement to it.
And we may or may not get to it because they're so far back in the catalog, but there are 2 Christmas versions of this as well. One will be in our red and green North Pole Central livery, and one for the Polar Express. And of course, those will be Reindeer Express cars. So those reindeer, after delivering all the presents on Christmas Eve, we figured they'd probably be pretty tired. And this is their easy ride back up to the North Pole. So you'll see towards the back of here, you'll see the reindeer vision cars, and then also some Endor box cars to pair with them, because that sleigh's got to go in there somewhere too, right? So
very true.
We've got you covered for your Christmas trains as well, which it's not Christmas without a Lionel train. So we wanted to make sure we had those in there, and we're still trying to figure out what a reindeer sounds like, but we'll figure it out before the sounds get done.
+1 on the sound cars. I mean, I got a ton of them. I got the reefers, tank cars, you name it. I love them all. I mean, they are all fantastic. I'm sure these horse cars will be no exception. I love the Penske with the olive green trucks. That is beautiful.
Yeah, that really is sharp. I like them all. I'm kind of partial to the Canadian Pacific right now, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, those are beautiful. And I kind of piggybacking off of what everybody said. I know everyone's kind of said the same thing, so no pun intended. I don't mean to beat a dead horse here, but but generally the sound cards in the past couple years have really added a lot to the hobby. As Eric had already mentioned, after the engine's gone, you just hear the click clack of the metal wheel, which is fine. But if you really want to add to the overall symphony of sound that comes from a train, nothing's more amazing than to have an steam engine with full labor, with whistle steam, start to slowly pull away, and the clanging of the couplers and the coupler slack going in the back as it goes on really helps you use your imagination, which is something you got to use in the hobby as well. Definitely points to you guys for bringing out these horse cars. It's a part of railroad history that you don't ever see modeled. I didn't even know about these being part of the history of railroading. So I'm very impressed. And the SP one, me being a SP foamer myself, I love it. So I can't wait to see what you guys do with these.
Well, thank you. As some of you probably know, I come from a bit of a museum background and enjoy the history part of the hobby too. So anytime I can hear somebody say that they learned something about trains that they didn't know before by picking up a Lionel catalog, that's a big win for me personally. That means a lot. So thank you sincerely.
All right. Well, speaking of sound cars, let's mosey on down to page 20 and take a look at some more of these stock cars.
Right. So from Pride and Joy racehorses to swine, we have some more livestock cars here, a little bit more of the traditional variety, and these are going to be very, very similar to the cars that we produced, I guess now almost 2 years ago, or it will be by the time these get out, with the cow effects inside. But we've gone to a bi-level stock car now, and we'll have a pig load in there. So you get a lot of fun effects on here. There will be some new tooling to do the interior floor and the dual level doors on these cars. They'll all come in a 3-pack. You'll get one car with the sounds, and then 2 other cars which are have all the details, just no electronics inside. As these cars usually ran in cuts, so wanted to give you a big value pack just to make the illustrations a little bigger on the page in the catalog. We show one 3-pack, and the rest are shown as a single car, just so we can make the art a little bit bigger. Sometimes things get lost when you get so many things on a page. But the sounds in here, you'll have loading sequences, unloading sequences, and what I'm sure will be a favorite to record will be the car cleaning sequences of these things. And the Legacy system, you get the different sounds, freight sounds in motion. You'll also hear livestock, and yes, you will be able to quill the pig. With the when Dave told me I could have a quilling pig, that was it. This project was done.
Oh man, that's great. That is great.
That's going to be sweet. I can't wait.
I got to say, just like the previous car, I must have, I know I'm the exception, but I must have probably 800 freight cars in my collection. I don't have a bi-level door boxcar. And I think it's really cool that you're bringing out stuff that's really, I've never seen this in O-scale before. And so I think that's great. And to pair it with a great sound set, that's going to be fantastic. I got to ask, do you guys, how involved are you with the recordings of the sounds? I mean, are those sessions fun? Oh,
they're a blast. They're a blast. And Eric, did we have you up to do some sounds?
Not yet. No, not yet.
Okay. I couldn't remember we'd done that or not. We do bring in outsiders from time to time. We used to do almost all of our recording from, so-called professional voice actors. I shouldn't say so-called. I don't want to diminish the work they did, but in the last couple of years, we've really sort of in-housed a lot of it. And so a lot of the crew talk that you'll hear now come from folks around the office. And we have a recording studio in our engineering lab, and we can go in there and run through all the recordings as many times as we need to. Tracy, our sound engineer, does a great job of mastering and remastering things and editing it all together. As you may have noticed on some of the newer locomotives we delivered this year, some different crew chatter and things like that on the Legacy engines, and some more generic background radio chatter that just sort of sounds like you're listening to a radio, not hearing specific phrases every time. And those were all recorded here too. We just, he has ways of adjusting the microphone to make you sound like you're coming through a radio speaker. And it's a blast. And we also are trying to really vary things. The sounds were starting to get stale. And so we're doing a variety of things and still getting out in the field anytime we can. I know we've talked about it over the past year with Strasbourg 90, and we'll be heading up there when they get her steamed up this spring to record sounds and whistles, and we'll be recording some crew dialogue and things like that up there too to add that level of authenticity. So anytime we can add something more to our sound library, we like to jump on it. But it's a fun diversion here from the daily norm when you get to go and record sounds. And some people, we've had them, and then they'll get the train set that they're in, and they'll give it to their family, and you watch eyes light up as they hear mom's voice coming out of the train, because that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've noticed that it seems over the last few years, and you talked about bringing the sound in house. And I think it shows because some of the sound sequences on some of the more modern sound cars some of them are just hilarious. And you can tell the people recording them are just having fun doing it. And that's been a ball to experience. And then also, like you said, with the crew talk, I've noticed that, and I've in some reviews I've done for OGR magazine, I've tried to point that out, saying, hey, the crew talk sounds, I think they've gotten a lot better over the last few years. They've gotten grittier. They just sound a lot more realistic than they used to. I love that radio static that they're doing in the background now. It's great.
I will definitely pass all those compliments on to the engineering team. It's fun, and we're always trying to do new things here and make the product better and in new ways. And it is fun. I mean, we work very hard as a company. We take things seriously, and we do put our nose to the grindstone to try and make everything as perfect as we can for everybody all the time. But I make model trains for a living. If I couldn't have fun doing that job, I wouldn't be doing that job right. And I think you need to have that atmosphere here as well. Of it's an enjoyable place to work, and we love what we do, and we see the fun in what we make.
Yeah, it totally shows in these sounds. And I think I think it was maybe a couple of years ago, I actually started to hear, and correct me if I'm wrong, I started to hear some female announcers doing stuff in the Legacy crew talk sounds, dispatchers and stuff. And I thought that was great. I said, it's been far too, we've gone too long without hearing, female dispatchers and stuff like that in the crew talk sounds. And to hear that was really refreshing and just made it a whole lot more fun.
Yeah. Women didn't come into weren't a mainstay in the locomotive cabs until probably the last 30 years or so. So we've been doing that more and more in the modern diesels. But as tower operators, women go back into at least as far into the 1920s as block operators and in the switch towers. So we are trying to bring in a little bit more diverse and also historically accurate representation of railroading.
And I have an interesting question on these cars. I actually have the cattle cars from last year. And it came with actually really cool cattle figures. So is this going to come with like pig figures?
We won't do pig figures in here. And it's a good question. With the double deck car and the slats being so small, I don't think you would appreciate the figures inside well enough to include them. Gotcha. So it would be adding cost to the product that you just simply wouldn't be able to appreciate. And while I know the prices are always going up and there are certain parts of it that we can't control, if there are things I think that I can add, but you won't get your money's worth out of the ad, those are the things that we try and hold back. Because even though it would be a fun thing to know that they're in there, if you can't see them, why make you pay for them?
Good point. No, these are cool. This is definitely going on my list for sure. All right, well, let's move into our Legacy Steam, and we'll take a look at these really cool 210-4s.
Excellent. So this is tooling that's new to us, but some of you may recognize it as former MTH tooling. We will be upgrading these locomotives significantly. Of course, we had the J1, T1 210-4s in our arsenal before, but having the Santa Fe 210-4 is really a completely different beast. And so I was really glad we could pick up this tooling. You'll see some different variations in here. Of course, we'll be upgrading this with Legacy and rail sounds. We'll be adding whistle steam to the locomotive. We'll be adding the Bluetooth control. We'll be adding the wireless drawbar tether in there. So there will be a lot of pluses into this over the previous editions. We've got a variety of road names. We've got, of course, the Santa Fe, the classic Santa Fe paint scheme. Both of those numbers, by the way, for Pennsy guys are locomotives that made their way into the coal service out of Columbus. So if you're an East Coast guy and like the Santa Fe Power, there's your excuse. We've also got a what if fantasy scheme in sort of the Midnight Chief or the Black Bonnet, a variety of names for that. It's a fun one. The 210-10-2s with that paint scheme just arrived not too long ago. A lot of people have been really happy with that. So here's another chance at that paint scheme. And then the Kansas City Southern had some that were very similar. We did a version inspired by the C&O not too long ago on the war bonds, and it sold out really quickly, and we had a lot of requests for it. The The Santa Fe Berk is maybe a little bit closer to the Kansas City Southern's actual locomotive. So we reran that one here as well as the gray boiler version. And then since the Penske leased these as often as they did from the Santa Fe, we did sort of a what-if Penske version as well, changed it out to a coal-fired tender, but kept the rest of the details pretty much the same. So you had a Penske version.
I got to say, I'm really excited to see that Lionel is taking the MTH tooling and running with it and adding the Lionel flavor to it rather than just doing the bare minimum and saying, okay, here it is. You know, I love that you're adding the whistle steam and legacy sounds and the wireless tether. And I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm really excited to see this stuff.
One little thing that I just want to point out that I think is very, very cool, and it may not be a big deal to others, but the fact that you it looks like you're actually including 3 different smokestacks, kind of like the like you do with the Northerns.
Yes, we'll use our same tooling that we have for our Santa Fe Northern to do that here. We have the 3750 class Northern, which is much smaller than this boiler. We'll be able to do the larger Santa Fe Northerns now in the future as well. But since we had just done the 3750s not too long ago, we figured we'd start with the 210-4s this go around.
Gotcha.
With this tooling. But yeah, we'll be using the 3 different interchangeable stacks, so you can have that raised stack there effect if you'd like to do that.
Yeah, I love that. I have the Team CC Santa Fe Northern, and I just, it's a little thing, but it kind of goes a long way that you just kind of include that kind of those kind of options for folks that want to like either, be specific. Maybe they remember, a Northern with that smokestack on it and they want to kind of like model it on their railroad. But for me, it's a really cool thing.
I agree with that. It's cool seeing the extra smokestacks. The Santa Fe Northern remains one of my favorite Lionel logos, and it's cool to see the interchangeable smokestacks making their way onto this as well. And like you said, it's a small thing, but it's just so cool.
Exactly.
It's definitely a tooling that we have not seen in a very long time in O scale. Being an ex-MTH tooling, we definitely got to see that at MTH, and they definitely had their fun with it. But to see it brought to the Lionel side of O scale and giving the special Lionel treatment with legacy sounds, whistle, steam, the whole 9 yards, it's going to be amazing to see this model brought into 2020, 2021, 2022. It's going to be awesome to see what you guys do with it. And just to see it modernized is just super impressive.
Thank you. We'll see some more MTH pickups here as we get in through the catalog. And we have plenty more that we'll be rolling out bit by bit. It takes some time to re-engineer these and get them up to Lionel's standards and styles and incorporate things. It's not as simple as take out the DCS board and put in the legacy board. So there's some work that has to be done to them. But as they're ready, we'll be introducing them into the line. So there's plenty of good surprises to come further back in this catalog and in several more catalogs to come yet from Lionel.
I think that's a good way to do it. I think we'd all agree that we'd rather see the XMTH integrated right rather than fast. So I'm all for that.
Yep. Absolutely.
Agreed.
I agree. Yep.
For sure.
Matt Z, did you have anything on the 210-4s?
I'm excited to see what these are going to be all about. My uncle has the old MTH one, so I'm curious to see what this will be like with Legacy and Whistle Steam and the works. I've always liked that engine. I thought, how cool would it be to have a Legacy version of it? And well, here we are. So that's really cool. I'm excited to see what this is all about.
All right, cool. Let's go ahead and move on to the Berks then.
Awesome. So we always get requests for Berks. We hadn't done the earlier style, the A1 style Berks in quite some time. So wanted to bring these back around. And outside of USRA engines, there aren't too many locomotives that traveled around the country as much as these things did. It's neat to be able to throw a wide variety and a wide geography of road names on a project without having to make them all fantasy schemes. So we've took some classic road names here, but we've also added some that hadn't been done before and some deco variations that hadn't been done before. And there are also a number of different detail variations on these locomotives, particularly in the front of the smoke box on these engines. You'll see some differences from road name to road name to capture the unique flavors of each one. These have all the great standard features that you're used to in Legacy. I don't want to keep beating the drum over and over, but these do have whistle steam. I think all but 2 locomotives we'll see in this catalog have the whistle steam effect in them, and those are just a little too tiny to squeeze it in. But you've got the Legacy rail sounds. You've got all the LED lighting, the upgrade we made to the class lights a few years ago to make them bicolor and changeable. So really neat locomotives, a neat compact engine. I'm kind of partial to the ones with those coffin water heaters on the front, just because they're so ugly. They're cool, but they're all neat in their own right.
Yeah, these are really neat. I'm definitely eyeing that Santa Fe 4198 for sure. So I've been looking to actually pick up a Santa Fe Berk, and well, now I have one in front of me. So, but yeah, kudos to you guys for these, and especially like the road specific details too. I think that's really important, especially for folks who are modeling a particular railroad and they want to make sure that hey, that looks just like the picture does, right? So, yeah, these are great.
Yeah, I love that smoke box on that Santa Fe in the Southern Pacific. Looks so cool. So yeah, I'll definitely be picking up one of those.
I'll hop in and say this. So while I'm a big fan of the other Berks, like the nickel plate Berks, these engines you can't get more industry and business than these. I mean, just looking at the engine, there is pipe work literally everywhere you look. There's so many separately applied details on this engine that it's just, if you want an engine that's all business for freight, you can't get better than this. And the unique details per the road names is something that is also to be praised as well. While I'm not a big fan of the big bonnets over the front of the engines, they're still very cool, and they stand out from any other steam locomotive you add to your collection. So definitely kudos for this one.
I really like these. I love the ones with the coffin feed water here, especially the SP. I'm really leaning towards. I really like that a lot. And like Johnny said, the pipe work is fantastic. Whistle steam in here, which is going to be fantastic. I love that feature. I know, like, I'm almost spoiled by the engines that don't have it. I'm like, where's that whistle steam? I love it.
All right. Well, let's go and continue on, and we'll take a look at these really cool Atlantics.
Yeah. So one neat trend that we've seen really take off in the last about 2 or 3 years is a strong uptick in sales in our smaller steam locomotives. And when I started with the company, we always heard show after show, I love your Legacy steam engines, but they're all big boys and they're all Challengers and huge articulated engines. I don't have room for that. Well, give me something smaller. But the sales just were never there. And for whatever reason, that has really changed for us in the last couple of years. So we've made it a concerted effort to try and keep some smaller steam locomotives in every catalog that give you all the same features. You still get the whistle steam and all as much as we can pack in there possibly, but at a smaller price and size to fit 036 or 031 curves like these are, and a nice engine for your railroad. Unfortunately, we couldn't get a swinging bell in this. We did try, but it's just a little too tight for that. But just a neat locomotive. This is sort of a combination tooling between a Pennsylvania E6 and a Southern Pacific A6, but very close to Atlantics that were on a lot of different railroads. I'm not sure if I'm partial to any one particular road name in here. The Wabash really has my eye. It has just the right amount of polish and trim to it to be a classy looking locomotive without going over the edge. But really a great steam locomotive for small layouts. And Atlantics were the premier power in the first couple decades of the 20th century. So these will look great pulling heavyweight cars or pulling some of the wood passenger cars you'll see further out.
I don't see too many road names for myself, but these are really, really cool. And man, that Southern paint scheme, holy cow, that is really nice.
Yeah, I'll definitely be getting that Southern. And to your point, Ryan, I think what makes these smaller ones so attractive nowadays is that you get all the features. You get the whistle steam and the legacy sounds and all that in a small, relatively affordable package. The prices are always going up, but still, I know in the last couple catalogs, I forget what it was, the 282 or something like that was selling really well because it was something that was, relatively compact and yet filled with features. And I think a lot of people really respond to that, that you can get a lot for your, people want to get the most for their money. And so it's nice to see that in these smaller locomotives.
+1 on these small steam engines. I mean, I have the H10 from a couple catalogs ago, and that one has the whistle steam and the swinging bell. I love that engine. That one is great. This one is no exception to that. The New York Central's really calling my name. I really like that a whole lot. Any of this East Coast stuff, New York Central, Pensy, all that. I love it. So really cool stuff, Ryan.
Oh yeah, that H10 was great. Had that swinging bell. The swinging bell is my all-time favorite feature. So it's always great when they can squeeze it in somewhere.
For sure. These are really exciting to see come back in the catalog, and kind of touching on your points on smaller steam and seeing an increase in interest in them. Being fortunate enough to have met a lot of folks in the hobby this past 2 years, meeting a lot of the younger folks, we're seeing a resurgence in the hobby of younger, as in folks who are finally getting their first jobs, are in college or finishing college, and really having the opportunity to return into the hobby. And with the budget and size restrained modeler and O scale, you have to go for what you can get. And these smaller engines really fit that market, and it comes in at a perfect time. For example, myself, when I returned to the hobby, my first scale steam engine was actually the first ever TMCC Atlantic, the Southern Pacific 3000, the Daylight. So this engine has a special place in my heart. And Lionel, catering to that market of the returning younger enthusiast, is really on the ball for that. And I can't praise that enough. These engines are beautiful. Actually, talking about the engine now is like my favorites have to be the Missouri Pacific. That oil tender is very unique. I don't think we've seen that for the Atlantics ever. So that's really cool. And I gotta agree with you, Ron. That Wabash engine is the perfect combination of business and classy. I really love that engine.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's move into the 060s.
All right. So here's another find from MTH that we are upgrading to Legacy. We looked and tried and just could not cram whistle steam in here or the swinging bell. I even pushed to give me one or the other, and we just couldn't. This engine is really quite small, but smaller than most of the other Legacies we've had before. But a great steam switcher used by so many different railroads. One feature I want to point out on here is it will not have the wireless drawbar. It will have a tethered drawbar. But we always do that on our switchers because when you don't have the extra wheels on the locomotive, you have that short, rigid wheelbase. It's nice to have the extra pickup from the tender to help give you that slow speed operation and less trouble through all of your switches and things like that, because that's how you want to run a switch locomotive. And also on this one, it allows us to put some more electronics in the tender and just make it all fit. So you will have a tethered plug on this, but in the case of a small locomotive like this, that's more of a design feature than a feature holdout is the way we do it. Really impressed by the detail on this casting. I love small steam myself and switch engines. I think it's just a little, and that part of operations in the hobby too is just a nice break from mainline running all the time. So I think these will have a great place on a lot of layouts. I'm glad we finally have a really nice 060 in addition to the Pensy B6, another nice 060 to add into the roundhouse.
Yeah, that B6 is one of my favorites, and I think that has the tether as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, same reason.
Yeah, and I think it was a good call because, like you said, nobody wants to be running these things through your switches and have it die in the middle of a switch. So I think that was smart to do that.
Yeah, these are really sweet looking. I'm definitely eyeing that Frisco. That's very, very nice. I really like that one.
That's what I was eyeing too.
Yeah. Yeah. I know there's a lot of nice little steamers in this catalog. And I think to Johnny's point that, that's a great thing without a doubt.
And for those who like to model every railroad under the sun, consider things like the Terminal Railroad or the Washington Terminal, which are both locomotives that work these terminal roads in St. Louis or Washington, where they were serving all the other railroads that were coming in and out of town. So if you're one of those folks, I don't know, there might be somebody like that on this podcast who has an engine from just about every railroad in the country. This is sort of could be the thread that unites them all and binds it all together.
Oh gosh! Now I'm going to have to get one of these too. Okay.
I think he's saying you should buy
it. Gently implying.
Yeah.
And it's just TRRA, so it could be, even though it's the Terminal Railroad Association of St. Louis, that could be the Terminal Railroad of Atlanta. I don't know. It might work.
It could be.
I really like these. I've always liked the MTH tool. I've never owned one, but I've seen them and always liked them. But this, I'm excited to see what Legacy's got with this. See all the features and detail and all that. And I'm really excited for this one. I'm looking at that New York Central. I really like that a lot.
Yeah, I've always liked, I've said this before, but, I always liked MTH toolings but Lionel has always had the best sound. And so it's going to be really exciting to see some of these really nice MTH tooled locomotives being outfitted with Legacy. That's going to be super cool.
Now, I'd be remiss not to bring this up, but you guys did a absolutely amazing job with bringing more Strasbourg into the mix here. I know some our buddies would tar and feather me if I didn't make mention of 31. That is a very unique looking locomotive. The front end with the centered headlight with the number board on the boiler front, that looks awesome. And I know a lot of the Strasbourg fans are going to be over the moon about this engine.
I certainly hope so. It's been a huge seller for us. That'll be some new tooling variations on this. MTH, to my knowledge, never did the centered headlight or that. As it goes in comparison to the prototype, the real 31 is not a USRA. It's actually even more compact than this. But I think with the changes to the front end, we get a locomotive that looks reasonably close. And we'll make it a nice addition for those who want to complete the Strasbourg roster.
Sweet, nice. Sweet.
All right. Well, you didn't think we could get smaller, but let's go ahead and head over to the 040s.
Absolutely. When we started off with this was going to be a Lion Chief Plus 2.0 locomotive. And then with the features that we could get inside and whatnot, we decided, you know what? Why not just give you the extra speed steps and upgrade it to Legacy? So this became yet another Legacy add-in as we got further into the catalog design. So we've got 5 great road names here. There's a Christmas version further back in the catalog on this one as well, I believe, if I remember correctly. And a real fun locomotive, a nice little compact powerhouse of an engine. A lot of great valve gear on this one. We've got a couple different variations of the tooling. Of course, this will be the more detailed with the added valve gear, the nicer electric headlamp, not the big boxy oil lamp, and a great locomotive for those tight industrial areas and small switching. Nothing says tight curves and compact spaces and jumbled up track plans like O-gauge. So this is the engine that was just designed to be made for 3-rail O-gauge layouts, I think.
I love these little engines. I'm a little bit prone to that, or particular to that Army one. That one's really cool. I'm guessing that's going to be like an Army green with the gray boiler.
Yes, like a dark olive green. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one's cool.
Is there no sound? Is it too small to have sound in there, or is there sound in the tender, or what?
Well, there will be sound in the tender. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. It's tiny.
It is. I love it.
Yeah. These are great. I've always liked this tool, and I'm really happy to see. Either way, if this would have been LC 2.0 or this, I would have got one because I've always said if this ever came out in 2.0, I'd buy one. And it's in Legacy, so it's even better. So I really thank you for this one. It's really cool. And one quick note, it's not in here, but I have the 060T, and that engine, I plug this whenever I can. I love that engine. That one is fantastic as well. So if you want even smaller yet, look at one of those. They are awesome. And maybe wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Those are cool.
More road names for 060Ts. I got it.
All right. Sweet.
Kind of piggybacking off of what Matt Z said there, with the small steam, and what Eric said, with the sounds you guys are fitting in these smaller locomotives, it is absolutely mind-boggling. You couldn't imagine doing that a couple of years ago. So the fact you have engines like the 060T or these 040s, and you're able to put legacy sounds or LC 2.0 sounds in there, that's absolutely amazing. And it brings so much. I'm really excited to see what these things sound like.
All right. Well, I think this was a definitely a great set of steam engines that are obviously noted in this catalog. So I think we're gonna have a lot of big fans out there. A lot of people happy with the amount of steam, with a lot of the smaller steam engines that are available. So for me, I think you guys definitely hit a home run here with your steam engines.
Yeah, I like the selection. It's a good amount of stuff. Nice features across the board. I like it. Thumbs up.
10 out of 10 for me.
Thank you, everybody.
+1.
All right. Well, let's go into my favorite part of the catalog. And that would be the diesel locomotives. And let's go ahead and start out with these RS-27s. And for people with their own catalog, we're on page 36.
Excellent. So this is another rescue from MTH, and this was in their Rail King scale line. And when we started looking at the tooling for this, originally it was going to be a Lion Chief Plus engine, and I kind of fell in love with it, and Megan was going to do it as a Lion Chief engine. I said, no, I'm taking that one for the legacy part of the catalog. So we're gonna make upgrades to this. Obviously, we'll put the legacy in there, and our smoke unit and our sounds. We're also going to add a lot more separately applied details to this locomotive to bring it more into line with the legacy family. But I'm a bit of an alcoholic, I guess, and this engine is just so odd and misshapen that it's kind of cool. So I wanted to bring this one into the legacy stable, and it gave us a chance to do a couple of road names that we don't often do. I don't remember the last time I put Green Bay and Western on a locomotive, for Pete's sakes, but a neat engine, and one I think that'll be really well received.
Yeah, these are fantastic. I'm also Ryan. I'm also very prone to anything Elco diesel, and these are just like right up my cup of tea, so to speak. And there's a lot of different colors here. Just a lot of great choices. That Chicago Northwestern's pretty cool. The Sioux is nice as well. Like there's a lot of good options on this page. But you're right. That Green Bay and Western, I don't know. It's kind of something about it that's kind of pulling me toward it. I don't know what it is, but that's a really neat looking engine.
Yeah, this is nice. I like that Chicago Northwestern. I think I'm kind of gravitating toward that one. But yeah, I love these Alco engines because to me they kind of in a weird way, like so ugly they're pretty to me. like they're not the prettiest things in the world, but they just have such a special look to them that they're just cool. And I like stuff that looks different and unique, and these are certainly in that category. So yeah, really happy to see these.
Those Sioux line units are absolutely awesome. I love how that looks. And then as well as having the inclusion of the black Conrail paint scheme, that's really cool.
Yeah, I like that. That is cool.
Right, you don't see that very often. So the fact that you guys went out of your way to do that was awesome. And yeah, very unique paint schemes for very, very unique engines.
Yeah, I like these too. I have the Penn Central RS11s from a couple years back, and I'm thinking I might grab either the Penn Central or the Conrail to go with those because that's really cool. So I really like that a lot.
Lots of choices for everybody.
Yep, indeed.
Absolutely.
And I think it's nice that you said you're going to add some extra detail to it just to make it a little more in line with the standard O scale stuff. I like that.
All right, well, let's go ahead and there's a lot of great stuff here still in store for us. So let's take a look at these SW1s.
All right, well, here's another one that came out of the Rail King scale line. This one, the body is coming from MTH. Everything else you see here, from the frame down and everything inside, will be based off of what we've been doing with our slightly larger EMD switchers. So the SW7s, 8s, 9s, 1200s, NW2s that we've been putting out over the last several years. So we've got a great amount of sound in here. Single motor with all both trucks powered through the gear towers. Really great slow speed performance on these. Fixed pilots, which I know is a big thing for a lot of people. I think really adds to the realism. So you'll have all of what you're used to in a legacy switcher, but in the smaller body version of the SW1. So it's going to be a trick getting it all crammed in there, but we're going to make it happen. And I think these are going to be fun locomotives, and one that I'm excited about because there is just no shortage of paint schemes that we can slap on this sucker. So it makes my job product planning for the next couple of years a lot easier. I don't know what it is about that flambeau paper locomotive. I found one shot of it and just said, that just has character, and I want it in the catalog. So I'm trying to pick some paint schemes that aren't quite the norm. But always you have your standards like Southern Pacific, B&O, Burlington Northern that will help carry the sales to make sure everything comes off. So for those who're just looking for something a little different, we've got some of those in here as well, and look forward to adding this into the switcher roster.
Yep, I love that Burlington Northern. I mean, you can put Burlington Northern on a golf cart, and I'll probably buy it. But the Burlington Northern is great, and I love that you guys got smoke in these because I'm pretty sure they did not have smoke from MTH. So that is fantastic. Yeah, I look forward to these, and yeah, you're right. You could put like all kinds of different road names on these, and they would just look fantastic. So kudos on these. Burlington Northern. Yep. I'm on top of it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about these, I got to say, because I just finished writing a review for the SW8 for OGR magazine, and I love that engine. It's got the fixed pilots. I love the way they have the single motor that drives all axles on the trucks. It's a really well done switcher, and to know that is carrying on into here, I think it's going to be great. I love the addition of smoke. I think this is going to be just a great little switcher. I'm really excited, and I like that flambeau paper core one. I think I might get that one.
I have to, I don't know what the word is. Thanks, throw my hands up, whatever it is, Ryan. Your team deserves the biggest round of applause I could ever give. I've said this to countless people. I've wanted this engine with smoke and fixed pilots for years and years and years. I thank you so much. This is an absolute, without a doubt, pre-order. Dude, this is fantastic all the way. I love it.
This is just giving people what they want. I mean, this is what people have wanted for years, and finally to deliver on that, it's awesome.
Yeah, big things. This is awesome.
And thank you from me, because now I can finally don't have to hear Matt Z make the same request for years anymore.
That's true. I want smoke and fixed pilots on my switchers. That's all I want. So now I got it.
I could have bought 8 Vision Line Big Boys with every time if I had a nickel for every single time he brought it up. So thank you for my sanity that you finally did this.
Well, thank you. The compliments do mean a lot, and it's nice to know that that what we're delivering is what people want. We try and listen to all the feedback that we can get, and do the best we can to make people happy. And it's good to know that some of the things we're doing at least are working.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and continue into some of these really awesome looking ES44 ACs.
All right. So I'm sure we'll get some pushback on some of these because some of the prototypes are the newer Tier 4 versions. But with all these great heritage schemes and veteran schemes out there, I couldn't resist adding them into a model. And the tooling budget wasn't there this go around to tool up a new body. And I didn't want to hold them off until we could. So I'm hoping that for some that are a little bit of a stand-in, the paint schemes will more than make up for it, because there's some really cool paint schemes here, including the BNSF Heritage, the CN Veterans Unit is a great engine. And then Pure Fancy, we've done some of the military-themed locomotives in the last couple of catalogs, and they've done real well for us. The Baldwin Sharks and the Verandas from a catalog or two ago, with the older graphics on have been great sellers. So we wanted to do something just a little bit more modern. And one of our artists is a military modeler, so I sort of throw the bone to him and let Steve run wild with things a little bit. And we came up with the dark sort of the midnight secret ops type look here for the U.S. Armed Forces for a pair of those very cool looking locomotives. And the catalog art probably doesn't do it justice. There's a lot of detail and some neat stuff worked into the camouflage on these. And he did a tint on the windows similar to what you see on some of the stealth fighters and things like that.
Wow,
that is really cool.
That's the one I'm eyeing. Is that Armed Forces one?
Now, I do like that Armed Forces ones, but I'm going to have to say, from somebody who owns 3 Lionel Legacy ES44 AC BNSFs, thank you for making the 25th anniversary. So now I can have 4. So, I love ES44s, and I really, really like that EJ&E. I like that you guys are making EJ&E engines. It is actually one of my favorite railroads from someone who lives in Chicagoland. I love seeing that paint scheme. I got the sharks that you guys made in a couple catalogs ago, and I absolutely love those. And I'm glad to see the J show up on your pages. So thanks for that. But yeah, the paint schemes on some of these are just fantastic. And yes, that U.S. Armed Forces one is pretty cool looking for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of eyeing that one and the Wisconsin Central.
I like that BC Rail. That one's really cool looking.
They're all nice, really.
Yeah,
Honestly,
they're all really cool.
I'd like to order 7 new ES44s, please.
I'll take your entire stock. Now, these are beautiful engines. I'm with Matt. I really like the EJ&E. Maybe it's because I've developed Stockholm Syndrome because he won't stop talking about it that I like EJ&E now. I don't know. But no, the EJ&E one's really cool. I love the Illinois Central one, the Armed Forces one. They just look so sleek. And whoever took the photos or did the renders for you guys for these particular engines definitely deserve kudos, because just that shot alone makes those engines look so awesome. I'm not the biggest modern diesel guy, but gosh, it makes me reach for the wallet subconsciously to try to get one. So, but these are awesome.
That's great to hear. I should point out for all but the Heritage unit, the BNSF Heritage, we did 2 powered units and 1 non-powered, and then we'll do 2 powered units on the Armed Forces. So for those who want to do a matched pair. And there were 2 different numbers of the CN Veterans unit as well. So we did 2 and 1 non-powered. But since the Heritage units are so popular, and you all brought it up, you get hard to choose which one you want. And a lot of these we think probably end up on someone's desk or mantle as a statement piece. The non-powered versions are there as well. So if you want to build up your roster without spending quite as much money or have that fun piece, it gives you a slightly more affordable way of doing that. Especially when when CN or someone drops, half a dozen Heritage units all at once, it makes it a scramble to try and keep up. And it's one way for us to help those who want to get more for their dollar. We also tried on these to match the colors to the heritage units, not necessarily the original colors of the railroad, because the Wisconsin Central and the J in particular, the orange and the red seemed a little bit more vibrant on the heritage units to our eyes and everything we'd seen on them, some of the original colors. So hopefully that's what everyone's looking for on these.
That's an interesting point. I didn't think about that. How you're actually modeling the heritage unit and not the original colors.
Yeah, these are definitely going to be a home run for sure.
That EJ&E one does look sharp, I got to say.
I'm going to get you into EJ&E now, Eric.
I don't have any EJ&E, so
there you go.
It's on the table. But I got to say, I like the little stealth fighter ES-44. That's pretty cool.
Yep, that one is cool. Mm-hmm. That would be cool. Pulling some rocket cars. Maybe somebody will make those. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move into the SD40-2s.
Awesome. So the SD4-2 is one of those locomotives that's sort of everywhere and all over the place. For this round, I picked some locomotives that were diamonds in the rough in the SD40-2 family. Some of the more unique paint schemes that I could find. Like the ES44s, these are available all in a powered or non-powered version. So if you just need one of these because you need one of these, you have a cheaper way out. We've got the Burlington Northern in two flavors. The Bicentennial is one of two of their Bicentennial units, and then the 8002 was the prototype for the the so-called Tiger Stripe paint scheme. So I wanted to do that one. It was a unique paint scheme amongst the, I forget how many hundreds SD40-2s BN had. These two sort of stood out. And then we've got the Maersk Sealand unit that Norfolk Southern repainted. I was going to say that was right around 1999, was shortly after the Conrail split. Similar to some of the special programs that the shipping company had done years before on the Santa Fe. And then three great veterans units, one from the Louisville in Indiana, one from the Savage, which was painted not far from here on a short line down here in North Carolina, and one that we haven't run probably since the mid-1990s, shortly after the prototype was done, the Desert Victory unit for Union Pacific, with the camouflage and the tribute to their employees who were fighting in Operation Desert Storm. Just a great looking locomotive that needed to be brought back into the lineup and redone. You will notice in the catalog there's a little bit more of an upcharge on the Savage and the UP, just because the deco on these units is so intense that they're some of the most challenging deco schemes that we've given our factories yet. So I actually had to ask to make sure they could even do them before we got too far into the design process, so I didn't waste my artist's time. But they're beautiful locomotives, and I think are going to be a standout for anyone's layout. We did make some tooling changes on the SD40-2 in the previous run to bring it more up to the standards of our SD40s and SD45s with the kinematic pilots and the different mounts on the trucks and so forth. We will do side frame appropriate trucks. So the ex-Conrail unit there will have the earlier style trucks side frames, which are kind of unique to them. And there are some other road specific details on these as well, of course, too. So again, trying to take the models up to the next level and continue to improve all of our features and operations.
Yeah, I think all of the paint schemes on all of these are just a home run. Like, fantastic job. Like, obviously Burlington Northern Tiger Stripe. Nice to see the Tiger Stripe back. Don't see that all too often in O scale, believe it or not. So I'm really glad to see an SD42 with the Tiger Stripe on it, and of course, the Bicentennial paint scheme. And then I have to say that Savage paint scheme, holy cow, that is incredible looking. Like, for sure. Like, I this is just obviously a render, in a catalog, but I imagine, like, when you actually see it come out of the production line and you open up the package, like, that thing has just got to be just amazing looking, for sure.
That one does look really sweet. I also really like to see I'm glad to see the desert camo back in SD40. I've got an older MTH desert camo SD40. I don't know if Lionel's ever done the desert camo in the SD40 or not, but it's really cool to see that. And that's definitely on the maybe list. That and that Savage one. Those two are really, really nice looking.
Yeah, I like that. The Savage and the Mare Seaman. Those are really cool. And that Louisville and Indiana, it kind of reminds me of a Pennsylvania GG1, that style paint with the stripe on it. Really cool. I like all these. They're awesome.
Yeah, beautiful paint schemes, beautiful models. I've got to say, I'm really happy to see the Maersk Sealand engine in the catalog. It's a paint scheme I have adored. I have been very, very envious of all the Lego model railroaders who've been taunting us with their Maersk engine. So I love the fact that Lionel gave us one of those in the catalog is really awesome. I'll really have to consider if I can foot the bill to get one for myself.
Yeah, that one's really nice too. And I like the kinematic pilots. I've seen them rolled out to more and more diesels over the last few years, and I think that's a great compromise where you're getting the best of both worlds, adding a little more realism, but still able to negotiate tight turns. And it's nice to see the kinematic pilot here.
All right, let's go ahead and move into the SD90 Max.
All right, yeah, more great military and veteran schemes here. So we've got all 5 of the different CP schemes, which were really fun to do. And then we've got the 2 different heritage versions that they've done as well. The EMD demo scheme, which is really colorful and a great paint scheme there. And then the SLRGs and the Norfolk Southerns, as they got them from UP, they ran around in that patched UP paint for a long time before any of them got repainted. I think they were rebuilt as they were repainted. So wanted to add that one into the market there too. We do pretty well with some of the patch jobs, whether it's the 1970s when everyone was changing hands or some of the more modern ones. It's just a neat little variety to add into the offerings that we have. So great locomotive. As a Conrail fan, I'm partial to the 80 Mac, but these engines are just big brutes and impressive to say the least.
I think these look great. I'm going to have a hard time deciding which of these Canadian Pacific ones to pick up because they all look fantastic. And it's always nice to see the patch jobs. Those are fun to get, and that's kind of I might have to get one of those too. They all look great.
If you're a Canadian Pacific diesel fan, well, here's the page for you, or pages for you, for sure. Yeah, these are great looking.
I like I'm with Eric. I like the patch job, and I really like the demonstrator. Those are really cool looking.
As a World War II buff, I definitely love seeing the 6644 heritage unit, or the veterans unit from CP. That's the one with the Spitfire paint job for D-Day. That's really cool. And the fact that Canadian Pacific did that paint scheme in the first place is absolutely amazing. And the fact that you guys brought a O scale once again is an opportunity for those who missed the runs from MTH. They can grab the Lionel one and not feel left out and have a wonderful sounding engine to go with it as well.
All right, let's go ahead and move into the, I think these are going to be definitely going to make a lot of people happy, but looks like we have a return of the F40 M-Trax and others.
Absolutely. This was one of the first all new diesel projects that I got to work on. So glad to bring this one back in. And the next several pages here, we'll be looking at F40s in different variations. But as a more newly designed tool for us, we've built a lot of modularity into this so that we could replicate some of the different construction phase differences of the F40s. And so while we did phase 3 locomotives, for example, in the first run, we did make some changes. So we did a different number series, different fuel tank arrangement, for example, on this one than the ones we did in round 1. So you will see some differences in details. We did the Phase 3 and the Phase 4 as accurate renditions of prototype locomotives. None of the straight, the regular powered F40s, I should say, got painted into Phase 5 or the veterans, but you'll see their paired cabbage engines coming up later on. And we know how people kind of like to have a matched consist. So with Amtrak's blessing, we went ahead and did powered versions of regular F40s in these paint schemes as well. And both turned out very nice. As some of you may have seen in past things we've done with Matt Donnelly from Amtrak, he's just such a wonderful asset to the model train community for all of us manufacturers, working with us on making things as accurate as we possibly can for Amtrak, and was with us at every step of the way on these to get all of the details right, paint schemes right, colors right, and so forth. It's been great working with him, and it's been great seeing the appreciation for Amtrak growing greatly over the last couple of years, especially around the country. And I'm happy to see that, and happy to see Amtrak doing well. Lots of road specific, but really should say road number specific details on these. These also have the kinematic pilots. These will do an 054 minimum curve. You've got some semi-different lighting package on some of these, depending on which variations you have. But that was one of the challenges we had with the F40 was we had to introduce some new light codes into the legacy code base, because we had strobe lights, ditch lights, the marker lights, headlights, cab lights, and then we added in the cab control cars and everything else, and it was a whole world of hurt. So the engineering team was actually happy to see that all of their work from a few years ago got to be recycled again with another run of these locomotives.
Yeah, I remember these when they came out a couple of years ago. They were just incredibly well received, and I believe they sold out pretty quickly as well. So I'm glad to see you guys bringing these back. New paint schemes. I love that. I love that ski train. That Rio Grande ski train is pretty cool. I'm sure there's somebody else here on this podcast that will like that too. I don't want to steal your thunder about that. But these are great.
So kind of going off of what Matt R. said there, the ski train, this is one that I am very happy, to say the least, to see. And I'm also I'm a little bit salty about it, because I just got my ski train 4-pack in, and I was writing my script for the review. And I was really hoping to see the F40 sooner, but I didn't see him. I was like, oh, okay, Lionel's not going to make him. I bought the UP 1989 Rio Grande Heritage Unit and put in my script and recorded it. Oh, as of now, Lionel hasn't made these. And now I have to redo that entire segment to say Lionel's making these. But I'm very thankful that you guys went out of your way to include these ski train F40s. They're so iconic. I'm very excited, and I will be probably buying 2 of them for the whole consist, which I intend to buy as time goes on. Another one that I want to point attention to is one that I know a lot of people are excited for, and that is the CSX business train. That is such a beautiful paint scheme. I'm so happy CSX did it in real life, and the fact that you brought it over to O-scale, I can't wait. I wish I had more funds to grab it, but that is a beautiful paint scheme. And plus a 2-pack with 2 observations. I don't think we've ever seen that before. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I'm not usually the biggest CSX fan, but I'm that's the one I'm eyeing, is that CSX train.
+1. I had a question on the passenger cars for the CSX set. On the end car, is that a theater car?
It is. It's a theater car. It's like the theater cars we've done previously. Okay. And the tooling for this one's actually pretty darn close, because CSX acquired this car from Conrail, and that's what we used as the basis for our tooling. We're not going to put the camera in this one. It's one of those things that over the last year, the electronics cost on that really skyrocketed from our vendor, like 500% increase. So we left the Wi-Fi camera app out of this. But you still have all the other details. And this was a great one, because this one was sort of coming together as the catalog was coming together. They were repainting these cars, and we had 2 F40s in the catalog for the longest time. And then I think it was only maybe a month or so before we were really wrapping it up. And I said, oh, they just painted number 3. Throw it in there. So we added another SKU at the last minute. the return of the B&O colors on this has really made it a beautiful train, and I couldn't wait to bring it back out again. So I was glad we could jump on this one, and also the the Rio Grande ski train. Just another beautiful consist, and a really neat piece of railroading. So both of these I'm hoping are just as popular as the Amtrak versions. And of course, we've got the powered units we talked about at the beginning, and we've got the return of the cabbage locomotives, which have some great electronics in there and pair nicely with the F40 so that you can go back and forth, and whichever end is leading, you've got the lights there, you've got the sound from there, and so forth. Really neat engines and cab cars, and one I was glad to be able to bring back in. I think the veterans unit was unveiled just a few months after we put the catalog out the last time these came. So it was good to be able to finally bring that around, as well as a couple of other prototypical paint schemes on the cab cars. So thanks again to Amtrak for making that all possible. And I hope everyone's happy to see these back in the lineup.
Oh, I'm sure they are, for sure. Yeah, these are great. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the F7s.
So F7s are one of those locomotives that I never run out of new liveries to put on, and never seem to get old in the catalog. And tried to pick some new and different ones, as well as a few classics for this go round. Like we've done in the past, these will be available in an AA set as well as 2 separate sale B units. The AA sets include 2 power units. The lead unit includes sound. The second unit is non-sound equipped, but both have the full lighting and full smoke features, the same electrocouplers and so forth, same level of detail. So you've got 2 engines with power there for the front. If you want more power and more sounds, there's an add-on powered B unit and also an add-on super bass B unit, which kicks all the sounds up a notch, and they work together in unison. So you can put together an AA, an ABA, or an ABBA set real easily and have a great set of power. And we've noticed that with a super bass and a regular sound unit going in the engineering room, that it gets plenty loud down there. So these things will certainly shake your basement. And with all the powered units in there, you've got no problem pulling any kind of train you want. So we've got the Santa Fe Yellow Bonnet. I don't know if Lionel's done those in the past or not, but wanted to do something a little bit different there. Lehigh Valley in one of their later paint schemes. Sioux Line in the white and red. Union Pacific, which is one of those classic paint schemes, but I keep getting requests for it because, oddly enough, it's one that we haven't done on F units, it seems, in quite some time. So brought those back. And then a fantasy scheme that just it needs to be, because, again, we get so many requests and it's just hard to believe it didn't actually exist. But the Southern Pacific Daylight paint scheme on these F units was a natural as well. The Cotton Belt had 1 or 2, I think they were FP7s or FP9s, painted up in the Daylight colors, but the SP never did. They were all delivered in the Black Widow scheme, which is attractive in its own right. But for those who like the look of SP EMD power, but maybe want something shorter on your layout to pair with smaller passenger cars instead of an E8, E9, I think this is a great option.
Yeah, those yellow bonnets are incredible. I love the blue striped one you did on the front. So yeah, Lionel didn't do a yellow F7 before. MTH did one back in I think it was like a dealer appreciation or something. I think it was 2008 or something, or 2007. But I'm very, very ecstatic to see these in there. And there were a couple of different front ends that they did with the blue and the yellow. And this one definitely is prototypical. And I'm just very, very excited to see it. I do have a question, though, on that B unit. The B unit has silver trucks. Is that supposed to be black trucks, or is that something with the render?
That's probably with the rendering. Let me double check that. It should match the match the 2A units. As you mentioned, the Santa Fe's yellow bonnets, we talk about as if it's one paint scheme, but there were almost as many variations to the yellow bonnet paint scheme as there were yellow bonnet engines, I think.
Yes.
So we did struggle a little bit to find 2 that were relatively close, and there will be some deco differences between the 2 units. But we found 2 that were pretty close to each other so that they didn't look way off, and still gave you the look of a nice matched pair, as with the B units as well, because there were lots of variations in that. So I can't recall if it's truly silver trucks or black trucks on that, but definitely adding it to my notes of things here to double check with on as we get through the catalog week.
Great. Yeah. Oh, so we're saying that the two A units are both going to have kind of a unique front to them.
Yes, the second unit, which has its back to us in the catalog, I believe on that one, the blue stripe is still a solid blue stripe coming down through the, for lack of terms, the cigar band there on the nose. But on that one, I think it's not quite solid all the way through. There's a break in the stripe in the middle of the band or beneath the band. So we captured that on the locomotive so that they're different. The ACI tag falls in different locations as well on them to match the prototype. And these will have, as we did on the last round of more traditional war bonnets, these will have the combination of silver paint and that our what we call our special silver, which is more of a metallic looking stainless steel type of finish that is so, uniquely Santa Fe and really screams to be done on these models to make them look right.
Okay, that's incredible. I love the fact that you use two different prototypical, yellow and blue front ends for these. So these are 100%. I'm in for these, like no doubt about it. So
yeah, me
I'm
too.
Very, very excited for these.
Yeah, those Santa Fe's are awesome. I'm definitely in on those. I also like the Sues though. Those look really nice. So going to be some tough choices here.
For sure.
Lehigh Valley for me. I like those. Those are cool.
I have to say, the second 2-page spread with the Sioux line, the Daylight, and the UP, those are all sharp. I'm not usually a Sioux line guy, but all the Sioux line engines, this catalog, were making me second guess that. I love the Daylight paint scheme. As I've mentioned on previous episodes of the podcast, no one is a bigger Daylight foamer than myself. As an owner of 8 Daylight engines, I love the paint scheme. So to see it going in F7s is awesome. I actually recently acquired the Legacy PAs, and on a layout, my layout's not small by any stretch of the imagination, but oh my goodness, they take up a lot of space. So I like that you provide an option for a little bit of a shorter Daylight paint scheme for those who are a little bit space constrained and want to have something a little bit different. But that's awesome. And the UP one is just sharp. I'm so glad to see that coming back.
Then I had a question too. On the powered B units, those going to have sound or is it just motion?
Just motion on the powered B units and no motor in the super base B units.
Okay.
Excellent. Yeah, these are definitely home run for me. All right, let's move on to the page 62, the first set of F9s, and I'm gonna have to say this is like one of the most striking paint schemes I have ever seen in any catalog, and I absolutely love it.
I love it. I am getting this thing 100%. I love it. And my girlfriend's gonna like it too.
the AC and W, they're right down the road from us here. They actually come into Charlotte, and they acquired 2 of the Norfolk Southern units, and then Reading and Northern acquired 2. So we wanted to do them both here. We've done Reading and Northern cars previously, so I didn't redo the passenger cars, but we had some tooling that was close enough to some of what the AC and W has for their business train, and added them in here as well. This is absolutely, without a doubt, one of the most unique paint schemes I've seen come on a locomotive in a long time. And the colors are absolutely brilliant. So if you're not familiar with this, it's one that you would swear is someone's hallucination or something we just came up with here in-house. But go online and look at some of the photos, and you'll see just what a striking color it really is in real life. Beautiful locomotives. They've done a wonderful job with the train, and it looks fantastic. So really excited to bring this in, and glad to see people are gravitating towards it, because I could see it being one of those engines and one of those paint schemes that could be a little polarizing, but it's definitely a cool looking locomotive.
Yeah, the first thing I did when I saw it, I said, that can't be real. Then I Googled it, and I was like, holy cow, it is real.
I did the same thing.
I'm totally getting that.
Yeah,
I am
that's
totally
cool.
getting that.
And you know what? Even if it wasn't real, I would actually even consider it. I'm like, all right, that's fine. It's not real. Who cares? This is just incredibly looking. Like, I love it. I love the way it looks.
That's something. I was curious on the cars though, and we were kind of debating this back and forth a little bit earlier. What color is that? Is that pink or purple?
That's a good question. It's somewhere in between. It's a very pinkish purple or sort of a purplish pink. It's not a color you typically associate with a railroad of any sorts, but it's interesting and it fits. It works in its own way. So it's definitely not like any other train you will have on your layout. No one will mistake this for another black steam engine on your wall. That's one thing.
Yeah,
That's true.
this is definitely going to get attention. So I like that. I like that.
Yeah, and with the 2-pack, is that a generator car in the front? Is that gonna have the sounds or no?
Yes, that'll be the generator up front, and then you've got the XUP Dome Lounge behind it there, and then 2 heavyweight cars. Their train is actually a whole big mismatch of equipment, but it's all been beautifully restored. So yeah, as the generator cars do, we'll have the sounds in there as well.
Cool.
Sweet.
Cool.
All right, let's go ahead and move into some pretty cool scale train sets, right? Page 64.
All right, so our scale sets are a lot of fun to do. I really enjoy doing these, and so much of the catalog then sort of evolves out of what I can pair up to make neat sets. And I think the theme for this catalog is go big or go home. When it comes to our train sets, the first one we've got here is the Bessemer and Lake Erie ore set, and I love industrial railroading, and the BNLE is as industrial a mainline railroad as it comes. So the main set is a powered A and a super base B, and then you get 12 ore cars and a bay window caboose. And if that's not enough for you, you can add another A-B set. And then we have 2 6-packs of ore cars. So you can get up to 24 separately numbered ore jennies behind this thing. And if you picked up any of our BNLE 6-packs of ore cars over the last couple of years, those are all different numbers as well. So for guys who have big layouts or access to clubs with big layouts, this is a home run. And the other nice thing, though, is with ore jennies, they're so small that, a 12-car train is really only about as long as like a 5 or 6-car train. So you get the look of a long train without having to take up quite as much real estate, which I think is why they're pretty popular with modelers in any scale. The color scheme on these engines is just great. Like I said, I think it's just a wonderful bit of industrial railroading to add to a layout.
Yeah, I love the sets that you guys have been doing in the last several catalogs, and they've been home runs, even for railroads that I don't usually model. But I have the BNSF tank train, and I have the Hustle Muscle on order. So I'm always a huge fan of sets because I think you get so much value in them, and this one is no different. I mean, there's just you get an A unit, you get a super base B, and then look at all these ore cars you get. Like, that's just incredible looking. I love it.
Yeah, that's great. Nice big long train set. And like you said, it's always, I always try to get a set if I can. If there's a locomotive that I want and it comes with a set, I always try to get the set because you're just going to get a better deal and a whole bunch of nice cars as well.
Yeah, the this in particular is really cool. I love ore cars. This is probably the set to buy if you're going to buy it. And if you get the whole thing, the set plus all the add-ons, it's a long train. It'd be really cool. But it's like the Doobie Brothers long train running or something.
Yeah, awesome set. Lots of value. There isn't really much I can say at this point that hasn't already been said, but I just love the paint scheme on these F units. They're awesome. can't get more bold and eye catching than this. Well, I guess the previous page can challenge that, I suppose. But this is a pretty close runner up.
All right, let's go ahead and move into our rocket set.
If the ore train wasn't big enough for you, this one really tips the scales. This replicates the rocket booster trains that travel from Utah down to Florida. And really neat operation. When I went out to see the Golden Spike site about 2 years ago now, you drive right past the plant where these are made. You drive right past the loading point for these. It's actually one of the last industry on the Transcontinental Railroad before it ends from its north of the cutoff. And so I got to see these cars in person, and just a really neat story behind the train. Unique equipment. You could run it with multiple locomotives because it's not UP all the way, although sometimes the UP engines run all the way through. So a real fun one. When we had the chance to get this tooling from MTH, it was high on our list because you can just do so much with these cars. So what we tried to do here is hit this for all budgets and all angles, because it's a lot of a train to swallow. So we did offer the whole thing as a set. You get a Legacy ES44, you get the 6 idler cars, and then 5 of the rocket booster cars, and then the Rider Pullman car at the end. We've also made the items available separate sale. So for the rocket booster cars, the one in the set and the 5-pack that's sold separately have different numbers. So sometimes these trains do run as a 2-booster train. And so you would see a 10-car train. If you've got the real estate to run and double this train length, you can do it. But we've made them 2 different numbers that way. But then we've also made the separate sale 5-pack both with the load and without the load. So what's really cool about this train is if you take the top cover off, each section of the train has its own unique portion of the load. And if you take all the mounting hardware off and take all the rocket components together, you can assemble them into this 30-inch tall scale rocket booster to have there. And sort of like we talked about earlier with loading in your stock cars with figures, it's such a cool train, but I think a lot of people probably never take the covers off. So if you wanted to increase the length of your train or just have the look of the train without the rocket, we've also made it available as just empty cars without the internal components to help give you a lower cost alternative on this. And then we've also made the idler car 6-pack available separately. So if maybe you picked up some of these cars before in a previous run from MTH, and you want accurate idler cars to go between, because our standard O boxcar tooling is actually matches the prototype for these cars. We have accurate cars in different road numbers in the separate sale and then are in the set as well. And we're tooling up, of course, the new door arrangement and the clearance bars for that lead car for the first time. So I think for even for people who may already have an older set, there's something there you're going to be very happy to see come onto the market and want to pick up. But what a fun train with so much going on board it. Picking this one up is certainly going to be a big piece of any collection.
Yeah, I got to say, I mean, this is really cool because, when MTH did this, I don't think they did the idler cars. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've got the original MTH rocket train set, and I don't think mine at least didn't have the idler cars.
I don't believe they did.
No, it didn't.
So that is so cool that you're doing that. Again, it's Lionel taking the MTH stuff and not just saying, okay, here, we're just rehashing it and here it is. You're putting your own stamp on it and making it your own and making it, I think better than the original, which is super, super cool. And so, and like you said, for people like me, I've already got the original rocket set, so I don't necessarily need the booster cars. So I can get the idler 6-pack and then be good to go. So I really like this.
Yeah, this is really top notch. I like the fact that you can take the pieces out and make a scale rocket booster out of it. That's awesome. Question though on the on the separate 5-pack with the rockets,
Mhm.
do those come with covers?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
They all come with the covers. We just pictured it one with and one without the cover, so people could sort of have a better idea of what's inside each of these. And each one's a little bit different. Each one's its own section of the rocket.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's cool. I really like this set. I think it's really cool. Now the boxcar 6-pack, the idler car, does only the first one come with the clearance bars, or do all of them do in the just the separate sales set?
Only the first one comes with the clearance bars, and that's like the prototype. They put them on the first car in the train, and then the rest are just standard boxcars.
Cool.
Sweet. Yep. Again, just everyone's kind of said what's need to be said, but awesome set. Definitely a first in terms of the sheer level of dedication to actually representing this set, and just the amount of cool stuff you get and the value and just overall fun. Definitely worth getting for your own collection if this interests you.
Let's go ahead and move on to page 68. We have a couple of sets in here.
Yeah, two smaller sets. We had such great feedback from our New Hope and Ivyland set last year that we did another Eastern classic short line here with the Black River and Western with the SW1 and 3 of our 18-inch cars. The art is correct there. 2 of them have the 4-wheel trucks. 1 of them has the 6-wheel trucks to better match the prototypes on the railroad. Another classic New Jersey short line that we wanted to add into the line. And then it being Norfolk Southern's 40th anniversary this year, we also did a special set for that railroad. So many great actual heritage locomotives, but we designed, took a sort of unique spin and did one of our own here. One of our creative artists, Sarah, is a huge Norfolk Southern and Southern Railroad fan, so tossed this one to her. And you see a mix of inspired but freelance things, as well as some more accurate cars in here. The Triple Crown containers on the Southwind well car, the steel car with the simulated metal coil hood. The 60-foot boxcar has the illuminated flag stars on it. And then the Heritage caboose with the Southern logo is actually based off a Norfolk Southern prototype. So it's a neat blend. Also took a little bit of inspiration from some of the Lionel Heritage units that we did before Norfolk Southern did their actual Heritage units. We did a few of those, and I think this blends in nicely with that as well. So for those who have a love of NS, this is a neat set to add in there, and hopefully it gives something for everybody, whether you like short lines or big monster trains. We've got a set for you here in the catalog.
Yeah, I'm not a Norfolk Southern guy, but that 40th anniversary set is very, very sweet. And kudos to whoever designed that, because the colors, I love the variation in the cars, like having a well car with husky stacks and a coil car, and it's really, really neat looking.
I like I know there's some more of these, I think, in a couple pages, but the illuminated flag boxcar, I've got one that was put out a couple years ago, and I really like the way they did that car, because it's not the stars on the flag are illuminated, but they're not illuminated in a way where it just screams, "Hey, I've got lights on my stars." It's very subtle, and you really don't notice it too much until you dim the lights, and then you're like, "Wow, hey, there's lights on that flag. That's cool." And I've always liked the way that was done. It wasn't like super standing out a ton, just very subtle and well and sort of classy the way they did all those lighted stars. It's nice to see it on this set.
Go ahead.
A lot of people, unless you knew that the stars were illuminated, you might not even notice it until the lights are dimmed, and that's what I kind of like about it. It's kind of a hidden feature that doesn't really come out until the lights go down.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. I love the NS set. Like that paint scheme on that engine is striking. I'm no NS fan by any stretch of the imagination, but wow, that's one I'd love to add to my collection. It's just the perfect combination of classic Southern with the NS touch to it. It's beautiful.
I really like it too. The NS set, +1 for that. I love the Southern, inspiration with the paint. I love the logo with kind of like the track on it. That's really cool. I like that a whole lot. The cars, the Husky Stack, Coil car, flag car, caboose, really beautiful set. And I think all in all, really great mix of sets here. I really like them a lot.
All right, so let's go ahead and move over to the wood coaches.
All right. Well, as you know, this is the second catalog you're seeing some of these in. These are obviously, again, some things we picked up from MTH, and just absolutely beautiful, beautiful passenger car models. We're adding in the baggage car and the observations that we hadn't done previously on the Strasbourg runs that we did from the earlier catalog. And a couple of different paint schemes here. We've got a maintenance of way set. These are all the cars will be available. All the road names are available in 3 2-packs each. So you get a baggage car coach, combine coach, and then observation coach. The maintenance of way, we wanted to do something that was a little bit more generic. A lot of these cars survived in company service into much later years, and it's why we still have some preserved today. Was thanks to their maintenance of way duties. So these are great behind your wreck derrick or your work train, and we kept it a simple generic maintenance of way so you could blend them in with just about any road name. And then we've got the New York Central and Hudson River. Really beautiful paint scheme on this one. Again, I think you have to be able to zoom in and appreciate some of the finer pinstriping and detail on these cars to get it. We've got a brilliant green Southern and a really vibrant blue set of Wabash cars as well. Those may be some of my favorites. And then one more piece that's, I think, sort of like the horse cars, one of those smaller chapters in railroad history that a lot of people aren't aware of, were the traveling chapel cars. And we've done a single car for the Evangel that is a neat chapel car. It's based on a prototype car that traveled the country and was a mobile church. And you could attend services on the train en route, or they would park at a town for an extended stay and do missionary work there. And as the nation was expanding, this was an important part of expanding with the country. A lot of towns didn't have churches right away, and so this was your first stop between hell on wheels and your redemption, were these chapel cars. So a neat little piece of railroad history, one that could be blended in with any railroad, and something I think a lot of people will enjoy reading about and picking up for their layout.
Yeah, these are absolutely stunning looking. I love these wood-sided coaches. I'm really glad that you decided to do the maintenance of way. Because if you're obviously from the previous catalog or in this catalog, if you're not kind of seeing, one of your railroads or anything like that, like you could definitely pick up that maintenance away and kind of put it behind anything. So, and I actually would consider picking up maybe one of those 2-packs of the maintenance away.
Yeah, I really I like these cars. I've always loved them when MTH did them, and I've always been kicking myself for not owning a set. And one of the sets I've always loved, and this is a kind of a little plug for you, Eric, too, is the early 1800s or late 1800s, early 1900s Empire State Express with the 999.
Yeah.
I've always loved that set, and I've wanted it actually ever since your video. And so I think I'm going to have to probably look at that New York and Hudson River set.
I like that chapel car. That's cool. I might have to pick that up, add it to my what I've currently got.
I love the observation cars. Those are probably some of the most ornate and most detailed observation back platforms I've ever seen. I was blown away when I saw these. So maybe I'll have to snag one for myself because those are beautiful.
Yeah, I think a couple things to point out too before we move on is number one, these have figures installed, which is a super bonus. Love that.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And number two, if you take a look at the minimum curve, 042, Maybe 036, I don't know, but usually 042 and 036 kind of, you can usually go hand in hand. Good on smaller curves, figures installed. These are definitely home runs for me.
They would definitely look great behind some of the Atlantics we saw earlier.
Let's move into the 2-bay hoppers.
Okay, yeah. 2-bay hoppers are 2-bay hoppers, right? There's actually two different variations here in prototype that were very similar. The Pennsylvania's GLA and the sort of called the 1917 Common Design that had some differences in end details mostly. A variety of road names, some pretty well known. We did a couple of N&Ws, of course. I think there was some, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since we started this podcast, but I think there was some N&W steam somewhere in this catalog that you might want some hopper cars to go with. We've got a variety of coal companies and power companies there as well. And some of those earlier color schemes that you don't see as often, but they're very interesting and with the lettering and detailing on them. So I enjoy bringing some of those into the catalog. And then another, we keep talking about the sort of the unique cars and stories. As we were doing research, I found a couple of cars in the Bureau of Mines for the Department of Interior. And they owned a small fleet of these cars that would be sent out into the field to do mine inspections, to do work with the employees if there was a mine collapse or you needed mine rescue help. They would be sent for first aid. So a variety of uses for these cars. And, it's almost an unwritten law of model railroading that you have to have a coal mine on your layout. So if you have a coal mine on your layout, it's got to get inspected eventually. And here's the perfect excuse to tack a passenger car onto your coal drag and head it up the mountain. I just thought they were neat cars with a neat story and wanted to include those in here as well.
That is cool. I like that a lot.
All right, let's move into the coil cars.
All right, this is another great modern freight car. Modern diesels like our ES44s, our SD70s, they are some of our most popular locomotives. So anytime we can add some more modern rolling stock into the roster, we're happy to do it. And with the coil cars, we did a variety of road names. There's a few sort of fantasy schemes or flashback schemes in here. Most of them are based on prototype cars. And we've done some clean cars, and we've also done a whole spread of graffiti cars. And I think these will be the hands down winners out of the bunch. When we started doing graffiti cars, probably about 3 or 4 years ago now, we were very trepid about it because some people love it because it's what you see. Whether you actually agree with the graffiti as vandalism or whatnot, it's what you see. So people want to recreate it. And other people just absolutely hate the concept of the vandalism of it. So we always try and have both clean and graffitied cars when we do these. But from a sales perspective, there's no denying that there's a strong demand for these artistic cars. And our creative team, frankly, just enjoys doing them too. So we keep giving them things to work on. And I think these are going to be some of the standouts in here. Of course, each side is different. And each car is unique.
Are these XMTH?
Yes, these are XMTH.
Okay, so on the XMTH rolling stock, are you going to keep the MTH style trucks? Or are you developing? Are you going to outfit them with Lionel trucks?
It will actually vary from car to car, depending on where the tooling is and which style of car. Some of them we will have to use the old MTH style. Others will be transitioning over to a Lionel truck.
Okay.
When we acquired tooling, there was some tooling that was retained because obviously MTH got split. So Atlas has some things, we have some things, and there are tools that are common to things that a variety of manufacturers now have. So those are held in common, and we have licensing rights to use those tools if need be. In some cases for us, it will be more expeditious to simply make modifications to the tools and use our existing trucks or other components, as the case may be.
Yeah, I like the graffiti versions. Those are cool.
Me too.
Yeah, I for one like the graffiti ones as well. So, I mean, and you're only spending an extra $10 to get additional graffiti on there. So to me, that's definitely worth the price.
Yeah, that the Conrail will go good with some of the Penn Central stuff that I have, and that's also in the catalog too. Really cool.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see graffiti coming to O scale, because that's something HO and N scale has been very, very spoiled with, and we haven't got to get a chance to have much of that in O scale. To see a lot of it in the most recent catalog here for Lionel, it really starts to open the door for the potential what we can see for the modern enthusiast here.
Yep, and speaking of modern enthusiasts, we have some one of my favorite types of rolling stock. We have some Husky stacks.
Yes, we've brought these back again as well. The well cars here are die cast, so you've got plenty of good low center of gravity weight on these. These things track beautifully. A variety of road names, again, available with and without graffiti on the well car. The graffiti versions turned out really cool, I think, here also. But we kept the containers clean because you don't usually see those tagged too much. The Burlington Northern car, we did one of their special anniversary containers in that as well. So you've got a special container on that set.
Yeah, these are great. Definitely going in my on my pre-order for sure. Especially the Burlington Northern graffiti ones. Like that's really cool. I love those.
+1. These are really cool. I don't see them in here, and off the top of my head, I don't remember if they were done. Is there a plan to do an end-of-train device car with one of these?
We've done those in the past. I didn't do a round of them on this run, but we'll definitely hit those with an EOT again as well. The last run of well cars we did some with and some without the end-of-train device.
All right, let's move into the illuminated flag box cars.
Absolutely. Talked a little bit about this with the Norfolk Southern set. We've got some great separate sale options here that match some locomotives from this catalog, some locomotives from some of our recent catalogs, and some locomotives that you haven't seen yet, but, maybe there's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge hint on some of those if you haven't seen the schemes yet. But we've been blessed with so many great patriotic locomotives over the last couple of years that wanted some paint schemes to match for those who want a consist to stretch behind them. These are all, of course, fanciful things, but just fun to do.
We got some indoor box cars as well.
Indoor box cars as well. Yep. These are more of a classic freight car. You had the two doors on the side for loading, and then one end of the car, the whole end of the car opens up, and our models do just like the prototype. So if you had an exceedingly long load, you could open the end of the car and load in that way. They were also used for vehicle loading and unloading, pipes, anything big that needed to be brought in and under the weather. So fun cars, all based on prototype paint schemes. We don't show it here in the catalog for space, but of course the Santa Fe car will have the Scout on one side, and that car will have the Santa Fe map on the other side of the car.
Gotcha.
All the other cars are based on the actual prototypes also.
I like these. These are really cool.
Yeah, those are
definitely
cool.
getting a couple of these.
For sure.
All right, let's move into the page 86. We have some bobber cabooses.
Yes, this is the former MTH bobber caboose. A really small car, but really loaded with detail and heavy also. These things should track beautifully. They do have a detailed interior with figure. They've got lighting inside and on the marker lights, separate handrails. So this is definitely not the little bobber caboose we put in the Thomas the Tank Engine sets for sure. Beautiful scale model, just a very small prototype, and a variety of road names here, for the most part based on prototype paint schemes. We wanted to do a throwback there also for some of the older modelers for the U.S. Military Railroad, for 19th century train fans.
Yeah, I've got a Southern version of one of these from MTH, and I've always loved it, and I'm really happy to see it appear again. And like you said, they're really solid. I mean, they're small, but they weigh quite a lot, and they run really well.
Yeah, I have the Santa Fe version of this, and you are absolutely correct. Like, they look small, and when you look at them, like, just, with the eye, you're like, oh, what is that? Just like a little thing. But you pick it up, it's got some serious heft to it, and it's solid. Like, this isn't any kind of like little kind of weak thing. I mean, it's solid, it's heavy, And this thing is definitely riding on your track really nicely.
Hey, now, I do have a question that I just thought of. In a lot of these XMTH cars with lighting, I think the one I had incandescent lighting, if I'm not mistaken. Are you guys going to keep that or going to replace it with LEDs? Or
anything that we've acquired with incandescent bulbs will be replaced with LED.
Okay, cool. That's nice. Is it going to be just a straight LED, or are you going to have any constant voltage in there or anything?
We'll put a capacitor on there to help keep things flicker free.
Cool, awesome.
That's nice.
Yeah, these are
the first round of passenger cars that were catalog or so ago now. Those will have that in it as well. And we tested the samples and they work great.
Nice.
All right, we got some bay window cabooses.
Yes, bay windows, again, matching some of the locomotives from this and the previous catalogs with the variety of service, pride and service and heritage units. A nice complement to bring up the locomotive at the front of the train for those who like to have a matched pairing, even though the caboose might not be what you think of in terms of having a match with a modern diesel. It's in model train world, it's still not a finished train until you put a caboose on the end of it. So we did some to match the 3CSX paint schemes we did a short while ago, as well as the BNSF anniversary, the CN and the CP veteran schemes here as well. The CP was a bit of a challenge. We tried to pull a bit of a color scheme from each of the locomotives into that caboose so that it matched no matter which one you would pair it with.
That BNSF caboose is pretty sharp looking. I like that.
Yeah, I'm glad to see the anniversary caboose on there. That'll match well with the ES44 anniversary engine.
Well, we've entered the standard O portion of the catalog, and this is a line that we sort of tried to beef up over the last couple of years to provide a more budgetary friendly alternative for things that are still scale sized and proportioned, but less detailed than the scale cars you've seen earlier in the catalog. There are several pages of these here. Some of these have been featured previously, but we built these on a larger quantity so that we weren't running out of stock so quickly intentionally, and wanted to refeature some of these here. So we've got the rotary gondolas. These are there was a whole long saga of getting these remade and brought back into the line, but a variety of great road names here, in mostly in 4-packs. We've got a couple of 2-packs there as well. The ore cars, like you saw earlier with the ore train set, and some more road names. And then the next couple of pages, bringing back in here our standard center beam flat cars, pulpwood cars, flat cars with loads, insulated box cars, the standard modern box and coil gondolas. So a lot of cars that when you're putting together a long train and the things are whizzing by at speed, you don't necessarily always appreciate the separate grab irons and brake rigging on the underside. But a good paint scheme and a well-proportioned car goes a long way. So the ability to fill out a train with some $50 cars instead of $80, $90 cars is always a welcome addition in there.
Are these made from Lionel tooling, or are they ex-Weaver, or what are these?
These are all everything you see here in this catalog is Lionel tooling.
Okay.
Our Weaver tooling is still here stateside. And still for our Lion scale line. And right now we just have as much work as we can handle to keep up with production in-house with our Made in USA program, which is just a fabulous problem to have, that we haven't reintroduced more of those cars in a couple of years now.
Yeah, it's nice to see some budget-friendly scale cars, like you said, to fill out a train. So that's always nice to see.
And for those who have the printed catalog, this is where things seem to come to an abrupt end. And our apologies for that. It seems like everything is having supply chain problems this year, and believe it or not, paper is one of them. So in order to get the catalog printed and out in time, we were only able to secure enough paper with our printers to print a portion of the catalog. And so we opted to do the front half. But if you're on the digital side of things, of course, we've still got about another 150 pages of this beast to go. Let's get rolling with Lion Chief 2.0. We've got some great new locomotives in this catalog. These pick up where our Lion Chief Plus line left off, with all the extra added features. And again, all these now are controllable with the Base 3. You'll have the new app and ability to interface with these in new ways as well. So you can run them with Bluetooth, or you can run them with TMCC. We've got our Pacifics back in the lineup here. This is our we call our baby Pacific. It's a smaller locomotive, but still has some great lines and a beefy engine in a variety of colorful paint schemes, all of which are based in some prototypical realism as well. So really colorful engines and fun locomotives. Lion Chief 2.0 gives you sort of the best of all worlds. You have command control, you have Bluetooth control, you've got sort of a legacy light type of locomotive that has more features than a traditional steam engine or diesel for sure, but not quite all the bells and whistles of a full-on legacy engine, and at a smaller price point. So these steam engines are all die cast. They're great poolers. They're great runners. They have good slow speed performance, good sounds, good smoke. And they're perfect for those who are growing their way up into the hobby. Also perfect for folks with smaller layouts and tighter curves, as these will all do an 031 curve without any problem.
Yeah, these are great little engines. And I do want to point something out, that these Lion Chief Plus 2.0 engines, they sound fantastic. And some of them are almost indistinguishable from like legacy sounds, to be honest with you. Like even I had the Lion Chief Plus 2.0 Lion Master Big Boy, and I had I have the little tank engine from a few catalogs ago, and the sounds in those are just absolutely spot on. And like I said, like to most people, sometimes it's almost indistinguishable from like legacy sounds. So I give huge kudos to the Lion Chief Plus 2.0 kind of product line. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's a great entry point for people that aren't into scale or don't want to spend money for scale, but want a nice just kind of steam engine or diesel engine on their layout that just runs awesome, sounds great, and the fact that you have multiple ways to control it, especially now too with the Cab 3 too as well, is just a huge plus.
Yeah, plus one on these. I know I mentioned the last one, the 06 OT, and any of these 2.0 engines, these things are fantastic. Like Matt said, you almost cannot tell the difference between this and a legacy engine. They sound fantastic, and they run great as well.
Totally agree with you guys on that one. Wonderful engines, great for what they are. The sounds are amazing. They definitely pull their weight. And if you're a person who's either trying to move up from just basic Lion Chief to the next step and want to test waters with command control, this is definitely the way to do it. I can't recommend this product line enough.
All right, let's move on to page 102, which has some really cool looking Hudsons.
Yes, these are back again from the last catalog. And one of the other nice things that we do try and do with our LC2 line is we do build a little bit more than not just build to order. So sometimes they sell out real quickly and they don't last long. But we don't build these strictly to order, so that we know that this is an audience for these that might be a little more on the fence or a little bit more patient about their buying. So we like to have some of these for dealers to be able to pick up and continue to offer into the hobby. This Hudson, very similar size to the Pacific, and all the same great features. And it's just one of those classic Lionel locomotives that you got to have in a catalog. I think it's one we could continue to run over and over again. People never get sick of it. So if a Hudson's more your thing than the Pacific, we've got you covered. We've also got some great new GP20s in the catalog as well. 4 road names on these. These have a stamped metal frame. They have smoke. They have sound. They have the directional headlighting. And so a big step up in power and performance and features from similar sized engines that you would find in an O-gauge starter set.
Yeah, these are great. And again, steam, diesel, Lion Chief Plus 2.0 is definitely a home run in that department. Let's go ahead and move on to page 105, which has definitely something really cool and definitely something unexpected.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know that a lot of people expected us to pick up this tooling from MTH, but the Doodle Bug is just a fun one, and I'm glad we can add something like this into the Lionel catalog. We'll be putting a lot of great features into these. Obviously, as a Lion Chief Plus 2.0 engine, you have the Bluetooth and command control. You'll have the fan-driven smoke, the directional lighting, electro couplers on this. Traditionally, Doodle Bugs didn't pull too much, but they could tow a car or two, and this will have enough power to do that. So great product, and one that we're going to have a lot of road name options on down the road. You'll also see a couple of more of these further back in the catalog in our themed sections for Halloween and Christmas, and some really great deco schemes on those as well.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say you definitely got me on the Santa Fe one. Like, plus you've taken the tooling, you've added smoke onto there, and that's to me that's like just really, really awesome. Like these are great looking. I was very, very excited. Like when I turned to the page and I saw these, I'm like, are you like, wow, like this is great. I was totally surprised, but I was just like very, very happy to see these. I've been actually looking for Santa Fe Doodle Bug, something that's command control for a long time, and they're kind of hard to find. So it's great to see one in your catalog, and it's great to see one at a great price too. I'll be honest with you, like that's a stellar price for all of the features that are packed in there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool. Are these going to have like announcements, like station stop announcements?
These will have our typical level of sounds for an LC 2.0 project. So they will have announcements, but they won't all be road or station specific.
Okay.
So and there'll be fewer announcements than you would get with a full legacy locomotive, more than you would have with the older Lion Chief Plus, or certainly than the traditional sets. So they will have announcements, but they won't be uniquely specific to each scheme. For the Christmas and the Halloween, we'll do our special voices and different announcement sound sets in those than the four pictured here on this page, of course.
Cool. All right. Sweet.
Kind of piggybacking off of what Matt R said in terms of his quest for one of these Santa Fe Doodle Bugs. I've been going to train shows with Matt for a decent amount of time at this point, and without fail, every single time we go to our local show, he'll see a Rail King box that says Santa Fe Doodle Bug, and he will rush over to it, really excited, pick it up, and realize it's a Proto 1, and then immediately get disappointed because it's not command control. So for the fact to see these in the catalog, I bet Matt is over the moon to see this.
Yeah, I think this actually might be my favorite item in the catalog. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, this is something I've wanted to add for years, and I'm really, really happy to see it in there. And that Santa Fe one is sharp. I like that.
All right, let's go ahead and move into some not new, but some additional paint schemes, right, for the Genesis.
Yes, additional paint schemes for the Amtrak Genesis, with the variety of anniversary paint schemes that Amtrak has done. We wanted to make sure that we captured those as well. So these will arrive later this year. Just some really beautiful paint schemes. And again, thanks to Matt and everyone at Amtrak for not only putting the program together in real life, but for making it so much easier for us to help everyone recapture it on your model layouts. And we've made so many upgrades to this tooling from MTH to add features into it to really bring it into the level of product that we felt it deserved to be for a locomotive like this, and very happy with the way these are turning out. So for those who will be at Springfield in a couple of weeks, we'll actually have a few samples, deco samples of some of these with us, I believe. So stop by and check them out. They look amazing.
That's great. And you have on page 106, it looks like we have an Amtrak Genesis Lion Chief Plus 2.0 set, which looks like the return of your 18-inch passenger cars, Amtrak passenger cars, which I actually really love those passenger cars.
Yes, it was as soon as we unveiled the P40s a couple of catalogs ago, it was almost like an immediate storm of one of the AM fleets coming back. We need AM fleets. So we have them here. We've got a set, and you'll see some more separate sale cars on the next couple of pages. They are 18-inch cars. They're not quite full length like our 21-inch cars are, but we really probably could have put these just up in the scale section of the catalog just as easily. for people, and they would look just as good running behind those F40PHs as they will behind these sort of semi-scale Genesis locomotives. But we've got a really cool set to start it all off there in the matching current with the current paint scheme. These have the two coaches and then the cab car at the back end if you want to do a push-pull train. And then we'll see matching cars for a variety of paint schemes and a variety of eras, both with the straight 2-packs of the passenger cars and then a 2-pack with the coach and the cab car as well. Some of the cab cars never wore some of those paint schemes, but we put them in there anyway just so people would have a neat matching consist.
Love seeing the cab cars. I remember the last cab car. It was definitely very difficult to find. They became very popular. And I really love seeing that you guys brought back the cab cars and in different flavors too. So that's really cool.
These are really nice. I was just curious though, on the cab car. One thing that I think would be kind of neat is if you were to bring these with the legacy electronics, with like the how you did with the F40s, with it where it changes the direction. That'd be something cool to think about. I don't know if that's in the works or not, but either way, beautiful cars.
Yeah, definitely a possibility for the future.
Cool.
So for these cars, I am ridiculously excited about these. These are such beautiful cars. And when the Atlas catalog dropped not too long ago, folks were either really overjoyed by their M fleets, but there was definitely a crave for more prototypical paint schemes. And being a person who ordered the Atlas Genesis, seeing these cars coming from you guys was an absolute treat. I genuinely got giddy when I saw this. So I will definitely be snagging a 2-pack. Probably the cab car. One thing that I was very impressed by is the cab car is still the same price as the normal 2-pack. That genuinely impressed me. So I will definitely be considering getting the cab car 2-pack because why not? So great job with these cars.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to page 110, which has a pretty cool Penske S2 Line Sheet Plus 2.0 set.
Yeah, this is a great new set. We've done a few of these 2.0 sets in the past. There's a few that you'll see on the subsequent pages that are coming back in. We still have some around. A nice sort of mid-range between your starter set and those big, gigantic legacy sets we looked at earlier, where you get a locomotive that's, in these cases, semi-scale, but has a lot of great features on board, and several pieces of rolling stock that all tie together into a nice theme. And the Penske S2 is a good one, with again some of the newer tooling from MTH mixed with some parts and pieces from things we already had here to create a new set, which Pennsylvania is always just bound to be one of our most popular road names. So time to bring back a nice set here as well.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and we're going to kind of fly through the catalog here. We're not going to hit on anything that's obviously just returning. But Ryan, if you want to maybe just take us through and just maybe hit on some new items in the catalog, we can just go over those.
Absolutely. So we're getting into our more traditional section of the catalog where we have a lot of licensed product. And these are products that, are often designed towards the first timer in the hobby. And so if it's your first train set, it's new to you, whether it's the first time we've shown it in the catalog or the 10th time we've shown it in the catalog. But what you will see as you're flipping through here, take some time and don't glance through everything, because there are some new pieces of add-on rolling stock for some of them that fit in some of these themes, and great additions. So, for example, on the Toy Story page, on page 116, we have a new Walking Woody brakeman car here that matches with the Toy Story sets, but would also stand alone great if you're just a Toy Story fan and want to add that in with your regular consist. We've got some great new Pixar licensed rolling stock as well. I really like the Monsters Inc. Scare Tank car with the LEDs on the side. This is going to be a fun car because it will be voice activated, so noise activated, I should say. So the louder the noise, the more LEDs will light up on the side of the canister. a fun piece that ties in a connection with the film and the fun of the train.
That's great. That's
really
that's a really
cool.
neat effect that you put on there.
For sure.
We've got some great new Halloween rolling stock and accessories as well as we get back into the Hallows Eve set. This is a fun one that also has a lighted boxcar in there that doesn't. A lot of people didn't realize that, but we showed that at York for the first time in October, and people really fell in love with it. So it's a great one of our newer sets that's coming back around for another year, and a great set with lots of great add-ons. The whole Halloween theme has just really grown and grown for us over the last couple of years. And we've got a lot of creative people here on staff, too, who get into it, and it makes it fun for them to add in and add their creativity. We've got the Grimm's Repo Depot transfer terminal there. That's a new accessory for us from the MTH tooling. New animated accessory with some great graphics. Check out the dimensions on this thing. It's much bigger in person than it appears in the catalog, and a really fun piece to add into your layout. We've updated all those accessories with our plug expand play to make them easier to set up and join in on your layout if you're just getting started, or if you're like a lot of us and you've been in the hobby for years but you still set up and take down your trains or can't decide where you want this or that, or change out themed accessories from one season to the next. Those plug expand play connections make that so much easier than going around and changing wires out underneath the layout. Some great new Halloween rolling stock on the next couple of pages here as well. I think I'm up to page 128, 129. Some lighted and sound equipped cars. We've got the Doodlebug here again with some wonderful graphics on that. And then the Mint car that we have, we've got new printing technologies that we've been using. We started on the Star Trek set about a year or two ago that has a lenticular design, so that depending on which angle you're looking through the windows at, you'll either see or not see the ghosts in the scene. So they'll sort of appear and disappear as the train rolls by it, which is going to be a really neat effect in that car.
That's cool. Yeah.
I like the Halloween Doodlebug.
Yeah, we've got some more fun accessories for Halloween too, and if I'm moving quickly, I can pause and let you guys chime in here. I think a lot of us on the call tonight are into the scale end of things, and probably a lot of your listeners are too. But this hobby is just a lot of fun, and sometimes it's neat to take a step back and just have some fun with things and look at the traditional side of the world and even mix and match these with some of our more scale and realistic trains, and just have some fun for a change.
I was curious on the rocket launcher.
Yes, the rocket launcher. So this is another one of those great classic Lionel accessories that is making a comeback with a lot of engineering time going into this. Also much larger in real life than it appears in the catalog. This thing is pretty substantial. We will be doing away with the wonderful 1970s Atari game system control console that came with it originally, and it'll all be controllable through command control with launch announcements, smoke, LED lights. There's a lot going on here. Of course, the rocket itself actually does fire off. Just a really neat accessory, and one that would go great with the sets and other things you see here, or just on the layout. This is a really fun one. We've been having a lot of fun with it in engineering too, playing with it. But this is going to be one of those great accessories that captures sort of the one of those great bygone eras of Lionel with today's improvements and technology to make the accessory that much better, but still capturing that flavor of the original. And that control console, I joke about it, but it really was part of the charm of the accessory, and seeing that and looking at it going, oh my gosh, this was the state of the art the first time this came out, and
Comes with
we can
real
do better now.
I really hope that becomes a demo with Dave.
Yeah,
item.
I'm totally into that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You will see it. This was a demos with Dave item as it
That's
progresses.
But That rocket launch pad is absolutely amazing. The fact that it's been upgraded for modern standards is amazing. I can't wait to see the demo, and hopefully this can be something we can see more from Lionel, stuff like that. We definitely would love to see an upgrade, a line of more upgraded, modernized products for the hobby, because they're just fun. I mean, who wouldn't want those?
I know.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Let's not forget the NASA train in the back, though. I mean, that thing,
true.
To me, that thing's cool. I mean, I like anything with NASA on it. So I mean, that's a great touch to that.
Yep.
A scale version to launch.
If you buy that train set, you definitely have to buy the rocket launch pad. So
for sure, make a whole space theme layout.
Exactly.
Yep. All right, what do we have? What do we have next?
All right. Well, from outer space to cracking open a cold one, we've got our next train set in the Anheuser-Busch series, more of a classic throwback look for our next Anheuser-Busch Budweiser set here, along with several accessories and pieces of rolling stock to go along with it. A few new refrigerator cars, which work off of classic advertising and the annual Budweiser holiday steins. And then I think it's a pretty cool design too, the unibody tank car, with, of course, in the look of a beer can wrap with the simulated pull tab, even at the one end. There is a pretty cool piece. This has been a popular license for us. Of course, these are all geared towards adults, and we encourage everybody to train responsibly. But really fun pieces. The accessory down there too will have the lighted sign on the roof for the Budweiser Brewery, which is going to be a really eye-catching and popping accessory on the layout. So very excited about these and continuing this train line.
That's the brewery's XMTH, correct?
Correct.
All right, cool. And is that sign, is that going to be like a neon sign, or is it just going to be on? It'll be
like a lighted, sort of like a neon style stand-up sign on the roof. It won't be just a cardboard sign with a light spotlighted on it. It'll be an illuminated sign.
Question 2 on the brewery. I have the MTH one. It has a smoke unit in it. Is this one going to smoke?
I don't think we plan to put a smoke unit in this one. It's something we could probably look at down the road, but I don't think we had planned to put one in here.
Yeah, just really quick for me, I really love that vintage Clydesdale reefer. That's beautiful. I love that print on there with the Clydesdales.
That is really sharp looking.
Yeah, personally, I'd have to agree. I think that's one of the neatest looking reefers we've done. And it's kind of a neat blending of, although it's not based on a specific prototype, obviously, you sort of capture the spirit of the Billboard reefer era with the actual period advertising art, so it works.
Yeah, even the Anheuser-Busch logo on the door is just like a really cool added touch to that one. Well, looks like we have next page. We have some more beer Budweiser stuff.
Yeah, so the continuation of the series. These are some other cars that have popped up in the last couple of catalogs. Some based very much on period cars, like the Malt Nutrien car down there at the bottom of page 137. Others all picking up on period advertising from various periods in the licensing. And it's really cool working with some of these licensors like Anheuser-Busch, because they give you access to a lot of the things they've digitized from their own archives. And so it's fun going back and just looking and seeing at some of the things that have been done over the decades and how advertising has changed and the branding has changed.
All right, let's go ahead and move into this. Actually, this looks really cool. This great locomotive chase line chief set.
Yeah, so this is the anniversary, the 150th anniversary year of the Great Locomotive Chase in 1862. Sorry, 160th anniversary year, not 150th. And so we wanted to commemorate that. One of the people who I worked with in the past, a great friend of mine, Steve Miola, is a sort of nationally known expert on the General and the Texas, and has done years of research on these locomotives. And so we worked with him to bring these engines back, but really I think probably for the first time as an O-gauge Lionel engine, not in the restored colors of the locomotives, but the color schemes that they actually would have worn at the time of the real Great Locomotive Chase. So that apple green and dark green with the Russia iron boiler on the General, just really radically different, I think, than most people are used to seeing with it. But much more like this engine really would have appeared. And then also the more subdued, but still great colors on the Texas. So we're doing these two locomotives as they were. Similar to the set we did 2 years ago for the Golden Spike, the two locomotives will come in a gift box with a universal remote, so you can control both from the same remote. And then we've got an add-on set of 3 cars to put with them if you want to put some cars behind the trains in appropriate 1860s deco schemes, which were, unlike the locomotives, very plain and simple. All the effort was spent on the motive power, practically none in making the rolling stock look pretty.
That's cool. So basically, these are just the UP set from a couple catalogs ago, right?
In terms of features and whatnot, yes. Same locomotive, obviously new deco, and of course new sound sets in there as well for the two locomotives.
Great, that's awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I have that set from a couple years ago, and I love it. It's really cool. I'll probably look at getting this one too.
Yeah, these are great. I know a lot. I know a lot of people are going to be very excited about these, and it's just a beautiful set overall.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm sure Steve won't mind me sharing this, but his love of trains started with a Lionel General when he was a kid. And so on a personal note, this kind of brings it full circle. Being able to redo the Lionel General on the anniversary of the Great Locomotive Chase in accurate colors, researched by a historian whose love affair with the history of the train started with the Lionel General. Is just kind of a neat chapter in what we do and the long history of this company and this hobby and this business. And it's just neat to be part of that.
Gives it a very personal touch, indeed.
On the next spread, we've got a traditional Lionel Scout type of set. And the one thing I want to point out here on the Lionel line set is that all of our sets to this point have included a remote control. This is the first set and the only set that you'll find in this catalog in the Lion Chief line that doesn't include its own remote. So you'll run this either with the app on your phone that you can download for free, of course, or with the universal remote. Or once you get the Base 3, you could run it with your Legacy control system if you wanted. But we wanted to toss this out and sort of test the waters for a lot of our market where the cell phones are now in everyone's hands so commonly, and people have gotten to using the apps so customarily that we wanted to produce one set without the remote to help take cost down a little bit and test the waters on this as a potential set. Certainly does not mean that all Lionel train sets in the future will be remote free. But we wanted to give the option out there, especially for a lot of sets which are sold online. And again, to first comers into the hobby, where the idea that you can run it with a cell phone is a big plus and a big feature to making toy trains modern again. And then we get to the graffiti set. We talked about these in the scale line and how popular they are, and we've had a lot of people pushing us to do something in the traditional world for a while. So we created a whole line of graffiti locomotives and cars. There's an add-on boxcar there too if you want to take it a little bit further. Each side of the train is unique with different graffiti, which is all done by our creative team in-house here, and just a really fun and colorful train set using the former MTH-8 wide cab tooling here for the locomotive.
This is great. I absolutely love this. Like someone definitely had a field day with this, right? Like I couldn't imagine the meeting for this one and be like, well, so I want to make a train, but it's just all graffiti. And people are like, yes, let's do it. So this is great. I love this. Yeah. You know what? And I think like kids too, kids to see this and be like, oh, this is cool. Look at all this, like, this graffiti art, like painted on the side of these. And obviously there's, a couple add-on boxcars as well. This is just, this is cool. I really like this.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this one definitely stands out. you get you like I said, you occasionally get pieces of graffiti rolling stock, but to just go head first and just go everything from engine to the end of train device, or in terms of modern trains, like it's all graffiti. And a lot of these cars, especially like the tank car, you could slip that into a scale train and you probably wouldn't know the difference. So beautiful set.
We've also got another new set in here, and some new accessories too. The Lion Chief Bluetooth 5.0 emergency response set. This one's literally got all the bells and whistles in it. So you've got the lights in all the cars, strobes, flashing lights. There'll be fun sounds in the locomotive, of course. We've repurposed the tank car derailment as a fire department training center car. And our creative team actually went down the road from us and to the local fire department, and we did 360 photos of the fire crew there in their get up to make the new masters for the figures for this. So that was a lot of fun partnering with those guys. The name on the tank car in the accessory actually comes from the fire chief there. It's his last name, done into incorporating it in as sort of a way to say thank you to him. And then another former MTH accessory, but one of the coolest ones I think they've done, the fire station, coming back here as a great animated accessory into the line.
That's cool. I really like the story behind that too. Yeah, that's a really cool. I like the Searchlight police car at the end of the train.
Yeah, that Searchlight police car looks like a repurposed box cab or something. I can't quite place it like an old.
I thought the same thing. I looked at it and I'm like, wow, that's just like what.
That tooling has been around for a while. It's been used as a box cab loco. It's been used as the command center caboose in some of the military sets. Sometimes with a machine gun on the roof. I think, variety of classic Lionel tooling that has seen a lot of uses. I'm half tempted one of these years to make it a box cab again and just see what we come up with on it.
There you go. Awesome.
I'd love to see that.
Of course, we've got some more separate sale rolling stock that's new, but to get into the Lion Chief separate sale diesels here, we've got the return of the 44 tonner, which is not really a 44 tonner. It's probably more close to an 85 tonner if we were matching it to specific prototypes. And but still semi prototype based along that lines. And then the former MTH Dash 8 here in the catalog as well in 4 contemporary paint schemes. For the 44 tonner, we went sort of both sides. Some of the paint schemes are based off of 44 tonner paint schemes. There are a few like the Ford locomotive that's actually based off of a prototype engine more similar in size to our model than an actual 44 tonner. So it worked both ways there, and neat to have that engine back in the lineup. It's a fairly simple locomotive, but we like having some engines at the lower end of the price points with the basic starter set features, so that there's something very accessible and cool and fun to run to add on to your starter sets and keep you going.
Those are cool, and great price point on those two for just, Lion Chief. You got cool little engine. You got a remote, sounds, lights, and they're actually pretty decently detailed too.
Then you got those Dash 8s. Are those are the MTH wide nose ones?
Those are the MTH ones. Yep.
That's cool.
All right, next page looks like we have some U36Bs.
Yep, some classic U36Bs. Again, are similar to our starter set locomotives in features. So you don't have quite as fine a speed control, but you do still have sound with the dialogue and the horn and the bell, directional lighting and so forth. So a fun locomotive, great value for the price. And then our trolleys, and I just got to call out the Trippy trolley.
Yep,
I love that one.
This one's really fun for all you grown-up hippies out there. This one is just a really fun piece, and we had just fun doing it. We also put some ground light effects in this one to just take it to the next level.
That's hilarious. That's awesome.
I love it. That thing's so cool.
I'm definitely going to order that.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. That definitely caught my attention. I'm like, wait, the trippy trolley, and then it's like, oh, it's got illumination too. I'm like,
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
I just saw the color. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I saw lights. I'm like, oh, no kidding. Holy smoke. This is something, wow.
And that's that's the Rail King Bump and Go trolley, right?
No, that's the old Lionel Bump and Go.
Okay.
We've had for a while. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep, and the interior lights in there too will be a multicolor LED, so it'll change colors as it's going around.
Oh, yeah.
That's all the time.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. I'm definitely in for that.
I like that.
Blast, we're going to party. We like to party, Matt.
Absolutely, buddy. You know it. Come on now. Come on. That is if I'm going to do it, that's the piece to do it with. Come on now.
I suppose I can support that.
Good. At least once, please.
I guess I'll let it slide.
All right, and what else do we have new moving on here?
We've got a lot of new licensed rolling stock. Jump ahead a couple of pages to 160 and 161. We've got the continuation of the classic Lionel series from Angela Trotta Thomas. She's been doing some wonderful artwork for these boxcars featuring some of the most iconic Lionel locomotives through history. So we're adding the New York Central F3s and the Blue Comet here for this year. We've also got some great licensed Ford and Chevy product here with the Mustang and the Camaro and the TOFC traditional boxcars. So some great add-ons there, as well as continuations in our series with Miller Coors, or now Molson Coors, and the Wings of Angels pinup art series, and the Battlefield of Honor series as well, with 2 new cars there, and then some patriotic cars as well here in the traditional side of things, with Light Up Flag, and then the illuminated fireworks car, which also plays music. So that'll be a lot of fun on layouts, and piggybacking off of some of the work that we designed for the Christmas Light Express over the last couple of years, trying to extend those lights and technologies into new places and new ways, because the cars are just so much fun.
Yeah, the firework car is really cool. I remember kind of looking at this and getting a throwback to the Christmas Vacation car you did with Clark's house on all lit up.
Yes.
That instantly reminded me of that. This is really cool.
All right, and we've got a few more presidents as well, and the continuation of the historic railroad history collection with the anniversary of the Train of Tomorrow and of Rockville Bridge, celebrating a big anniversary there as well, the completion of that Stone Arch Bridge. So another fun series that we've been building on for the last couple of years as well, with our traditional rolling stock. So. Just so much fun to be had in this part of the catalog, really.
I see the shark fin car down below too. So
I like that one a lot. That's really funny.
Yeah, that one's cool.
Unfortunately, we couldn't get enough orders to build the set when we cataloged it a few years ago, but everyone raved over the car, and we said that the concept had to live on because just the neatest use of the walking brakeman car ever.
Absolutely.
Shark car for your sharks, maybe? For your scale sharks, who knows?
Yeah, there you go.
Sure, there you go. Okay, folks. Well, that wraps up the Lion Chief Plus 2.0 and some of the other Lion Chief sets that we wanted to hit on. Again, there's a lot more in the catalog, a lot of things that are obviously stuff that have been previous catalogs. Obviously, feel free to go through everything. There's a lot of great stuff in here. And I think overall, my opinion on this catalog, it's, the whole entire thing, it's been fantastic. There's a lot of stuff in here I am super excited for. As a BNSF guy, I'm looking forward to pre-ordering a lot of things out of this catalog for sure. Definitely a lot of things up my alley. So I wanted to kind of go around the room and just from the guys on here, Eric and Matt and Johnny, just to get your really quick thoughts on your kind of opinions on the catalog. Eric, why don't you start?
I think it's great. I think it's got a lot of nice new stuff in there. I kind of said this earlier today when we were talking, but I think it's a nice mixture of stuff where it's a really good, it's really strong, good catalog that's got a lot of stuff that I like, but it kind of sounded funny when we were saying this earlier today, but I said, I like it because it's good, but it's not too good. Like there's been some Lionel catalogs in the past where it's almost too good. There's so much stuff. You're just like an overload. And I like that this one has a nice balance of just really good, a lot of new stuff, but a lot of just nice stuff that's reappearing again in case you missed it the first time, and some new paint schemes and so forth. And so I'm really happy with it. I think it's a strong catalog, and can't wait to get my orders in.
Matt Z, how about yourself?
I really like it. I think, to like what Eric said, it's good. It's, not too good, but it's good. I really like it. There's some stuff in here that I'm really overly excited about. The switchers in particular, whether it be Steam or that gorgeous SW1. Thank God, smoking fixed pilots. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite things in this new catalog. Is that SW1.
That one just, oh God, I love it. But no, I think it was really cool. Great picks in here, Ryan, for a little bit of everything for everybody. And I think it's a very well-rounded catalog, and that is really something that's, nice to see for sure. So
it's well-rounded in terms of what's featured, and also well-rounded in terms of, hits to your wallet. It's not all super high priced. It's not all super low end. It's a nice mixture of everything.
Absolutely.
Johnny, how about yourself?
I genuinely really enjoyed this catalog. Lots of great items. I definitely, for myself personally, I guaranteed going to get both variations of the Ski Train F40. The M fleets were a very welcome surprise. I genuinely got very excited when I saw those, so I will also be snagging those up. But lots of great paint schemes. I loved hearing the stories behind why everything was chosen. It all makes sense. It makes me actually more excited for a lot of the items that are on there. So great catalog. Great to look at, and I know folks when they get a chance to go through it on their own will be over the moon about it.
Absolutely. So first thing first, before we get into where we can find people, again, just huge thank you to Ryan for taking the time to come on our show and take us through the catalog. This was so exciting, if not probably the best episode that we've done so far, just because of the fact that we had Ryan from Lionel and we had Eric from Eric's Trains on here, which makes this a super special episode for us. So we're really excited about the future for our podcast. We definitely want to do this again. Hopefully, if Ryan and Eric are available again, we'll definitely would love to do additional catalogs moving forward. I wanted to kind of give the floor to Ryan just for a minute, if you had any thoughts or anything.
Well, thank you very much to Matt and to everybody here. The pleasure's really been all mine. We, as a team, we work on this catalog for a year and pulling everything together. And I'm very happy to hear everybody say that you're finding a balance in there, because that's one of our biggest challenges is trying to find that right balance. We want everybody to find at least one or two things that you absolutely want. And can afford and will add to your collection. If you wanted every single thing in the catalog, you'd be out of luck. But we hope that you find something in there in every catalog that fits you. And it sounds like from that end, the whole team here is doing our job right and making people happy. It's been a long show. I don't know if it was your best show or not, but it's probably your longest show. And I appreciate you all hanging in there. I know there are still some things we didn't cover in the catalog, believe it or not. So for folks who are especially looking for accessories or for some of the holiday themed things, keep paging back through there, because there are some new items that are worth taking a look at and adding to your layout all through this, no matter what your interest level might be in the hobby. So very happy to be here for the first time, and I'm sure we will make sure it's not the last time. We'll do this for some more catalogs and maybe some other updates in between too. Now that we've made the connection, we don't have to try and cram it all into one big night. We can have fun anytime. So it's been great, and it's just been as always. It's fun hanging out and talking trains with people who share the hobby and share the passion. So if nothing else, I've had a fun night doing that. So thank you all for that.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Just definitely with you guys, with Lionel, definitely don't have to limit this to catalog shows. We would love to even just do our classic interview with you, Ryan, because, you come on to these, you talk about the catalog, but sometimes we want to know more about the person that's designing the catalog, you yourself. So we would love for you to come back on and just let's talk about you, put you under the spotlight, and just find out what drives you, in this hobby.
That'd be my pleasure and an honor to do so. And we'll go from your longest and best catalog podcast ever to your shortest and least enjoyable for most people.
Not at all. People, people
yeah.
love our interview shows a lot, especially when we talk about people in the industry. Eric's show is probably our number one downloaded show, and I actually had to split that up into two. I don't actually think we're at the same time. I think the Eric show might be actually a little longer. So
yeah, I went on for a while.
Yeah.
But again, thanks to both, Ryan and Eric. And as always on this show, we want to make sure that our guests are able to tell people where they can find them. So Ryan, where can people find you?
You can find me through Lionel. You can reach me through any of our social media contact points. Lionel is on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. So please check out all of those pages. We do a variety of things and updates unique to each of those channels. I'll be on just about every place we can get over the next couple of weeks as we promote the catalog and get the word out. You've got until the middle of February to get your orders into your dealers. So as this is being recorded, you've still got plenty of time, but depending on when you're finding this and listening to it, please keep that in mind, especially for the build-to-order items, and get out there and support your favorite local or just favorite internet Lionel dealer. They're a huge part of our family as well, so we appreciate that. And if you have any questions or comments about the catalog, please feel free to reach out to Lionel at 1-800-4LIONEL or talk to us at lionel.com. And we have a very talented and wonderful crew who never gets enough credit for the hard work they do in our call center, who will be happy to answer questions directly, or if they can't, they forward everything on to myself or Dave or whomever the most appropriate person is in the building to get them and help them get an answer. So as always, please feel free to reach out to us and let us know what you're thinking. It's been really wonderful hearing the feedback from everybody tonight on the catalog and what you all love and the questions you've had, and look forward to hearing that from everybody out there listening as well. So thank you.
Eric, how about yourself?
Well, if you pull up Google and search Eric's Trains, you'll get every link you need. You can go to my YouTube channel, Eric's Trains, or ericstrains.com. We'll have links to everything on it. And I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. And I really enjoyed doing this. Thanks for having me on. And if anyone needs to contact me, my email is eric@ericstrains.com.
Excellent. And Johnny, how about yourself?
I just want to say thank you to our guests. You guys are really awesome. I am really happy to have been able to get a chance to talk with you guys. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for being on this episode. In regards to myself, you can find me at Audamus on YouTube. That's AUDAMUS. You can find me screaming at inanimate objects and getting boxes thrown at my head and occasionally talk about trains. You can also find me on Instagram at Audamus_trains. And you can also find me on the Matt and Matt O-Skill podcast Discord. Please reach out, join us, have a talk. We chat on there every other night on voice call. We love talking trains and making a bunch of dumb jokes. So we hope to see you there.
Matt Z.
+1 with the thank yous and shout outs and everything, guys. Really appreciate this. Was bar none my favorite. Really big thanks, Ryan, Eric. This was great, guys. Really appreciate it. You can find me on YouTube and Facebook under Matt-Trainlover9943, and like with Johnny on the Matt Discord server. Talk, have fun, and at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. So big thanks, everyone.
And you can find me on YouTube at West Chicago Monterey Road. I'm on Facebook under the same name, and on Instagram, if you search up WCMRR, you will find me. And again, folks, I will put all the appropriate links in the episode notes, which will include the Discord link, links to different ways to find our podcast. I will put a link to the Lionel catalog when Lionel posts it on their website, I will put a link in there so you can easily click it, open up that digital catalog and go along with the show with us as we go through it. So with that said, thank you to all our listeners for everything that you do, for downloading our podcasts, for giving us your ears, for giving us feedback. We really appreciate it. We love doing this podcast. We love talking about trains. It is our passion. Gentlemen, you all have a wonderful night, and we will talk to you later.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
See you guys.